All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. And why is my model not picking up my camera? What the heck? Um, Hold up. It's not picking up my mouth properly. Where is this? I'm pretty sure it's mustache syndrome. That's what it is. Pretty sure it's just your standard mustache syndrome. Or maybe stuff isn't calibrated properly. Okay, yeah, maybe weird. Maybe stuff isn't calibrated properly with my model because okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, now stuff is showing up. All right, that's stream scuff for you. But anyway, hello everybody. Hello, it's me, Techno, and we're going to be doing this Transformers Victory presentation today. I'm just going to wait around a couple of minutes just in case anyone else pops in first before we get going. But yeah, how's it going, everyone? How are people's days going? I hope that everyone has been off to a good morning so far. And right, I was going to change this graphic too. Bear with me. Where's the graphic I wanted to put in here? I forgot I was going to change this one graphic out here. Oh, hey Ninja, how's it going? All right, there we go. Okay, there. Graphic has changed. All right. So anyway, we're going to be doing an overview of Transformers Victory. This is an extended version of the slideshow that we did at that I did at TFCon last year. I have gone in. I have added a whole bunch of things to it. There's an entire back section which got cut in the planning phases of this slideshow for very, very good reason, because there was no way in hell it was going to fit in an hour with that whole back section. And I did extend a few other things too here and there, like just I wanted to cover a bit more in terms of talking about toys and stuff, because I've got time. Speaking of, I do have where is my Transformers Victory soundtrack? I'm going to put that on as some BGM. Just as we're going through this, because I do have the Transformers Victory music handy. So let's bring that up. Yeah, I've spent the last few days just like going and adding and embellishing this slideshow, just like it pretty much double the length. I've got a lot to talk about on this thing. So, okay, here's the soundtrack. Where's disc 4? Okay, no, here we go. All right. So anyway, we are going to be talking Transformers Victory today. We are going to be going through, and we are going to be, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, honestly. I think so anyway. Let's see. Okay, how do I close this up? Hold up, I just need to, where's the, there we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the thing here for mix it up. There we go. Okay, now I can see chat. Good. All right, I'm just rearranging my usual desktop layout a little bit because I got the PowerPoint slides up there, so I want to make sure I can see everything. There, that should be good now. So, with that said, let's wait for this. Let's wait for this to finish playing first. This is I didn't talk about the openings all, but this is the opening for Transformers Victory here that is playing right now. V. This is just the TV size version, so it's going to be over very quickly. But yeah, it is a fun show. It is a really fun show. So I guess we may as well get started. Yeah, let's. Oh, and now we're getting into other stuff here. Okay. Oh, I've got this on shuffle. That's why. Hold up, I forgot to turn shuffle off on the soundtrack. I was wondering why I was getting why I was getting something from a different show. There we go. Anyway, so we are going to start this thing off. So let's get going. So the first question, obviously, before we really get started and into this is, well, why? Why am I doing a panel on Transformers Victory? And why am I doing this something about like a 35-year-old Transformer series? What's the deal? What is the reason why? Well, I suppose that the answer would be, well, this is, oh, hold up, I need to change my view here. This would have been the impetus as to, well, why this panel now? Because tomorrow we've got this HasLab ending. we've got the HasLab Lyle Kaiser that is about to end tomorrow. I haven't checked what the current backer count is. Let's do that right now, shall we? Let's do that right now live on stream because I took all these screen caps the other day. Yeah, right now it's got 1 day, 7 hours left in it, and we are currently at for the actual numbers on this crowdfund. We are currently at 21,259 backers for this thing. Everything is unlocked, and yeah, and it is closing tomorrow night. And this was really the impetus for me actually getting off my butt and finally doing what I said I wanted to do and extend this for a Twitch presentation as a special presentation. So, but yeah, like really, this is just like the icing on the cake because we've already gotten 2 HasLabs that were Transformers Victory related. We got Star Saber, well, Victory Saber, I guess more appropriately, and we got Deathsaurus. And it's kind of nuts that it's like, well, why are we getting all this stuff for a 35-year-old Transformers show? I guess 36 this year, but yeah. Why all these toys for a show that never even aired on TV in North America? And that technically does have a dub, but yeah, we don't really talk about the dub for that, I guess. I don't know if I have a slide in here for that, actually. But yeah, so anyway, let's keep going then. All right. So, what's this panel gonna be? Well, I'm Techno, and I'm here to tell you all about the Transformers of Victory Edition. And yeah, I've got no illusions here. All of us have some really long viewing lists. We all have a lot of shows that we watch. There's a lot of shows that we haven't had a chance to watch yet. That's just the name of the game. And honestly, Transformers Victory is another one of those things on that list, on that very long list. And I will be completely honest, I don't expect people to actually take the time to go back and watch a 35-year-old TV series when there's already so many other things that are on everyone's viewing lists. So that was part of the purpose of this panel there, just to give a bit of an overview of what the whole deal with Victory is, like the characters, some key moments in the show. Overall, just the whole idea being that, okay, this is why you should care about Transformers Victory. This is who these guys are that we keep getting new toys of. So, what is Victory? Well, Victory began its initial broadcast in Japan on March 14th, 1989. It is the third Japanese series in a trilogy of Japanese shows. The first one was Headmasters, and Headmasters was then followed by Master Force. And well, the third one in the whole series there, the end cap of this was Victory. Victory was yeah. All of these are set after season 3 of Transformers. Season 4, the Rebirth episodes, those were never considered canon. The season 4 Rebirth stuff. Yeah, those were never actually considered canon in Japan. Japan just went on straight from the end of season 3 and did their own thing. But yeah. The original concepts for the series were done by Masumi Kaneda. Apologies for any mispronunciation there. This is the person who also wrote Headmasters and Master Force shows. But interestingly for Victory, the head writer for Victory is actually credited as Hiroyuki Hoshiyama. Presumably, and I might talk about that a little bit more down the line there in terms of what that might have resulted in terms of just some stuff here and there. But interestingly enough as well, what's worth discussing is that 1989 was also the same year that Japan actually got Transformers the movie. It had not actually come out in Japan yet until about midway through Transformers Victory's airing. So they knew that the movie had come out, but general audiences, because this is a pre-internet era, hadn't actually seen the movie for the most part. Like their target audience would not have seen it. They would have known that the movie happened though, because they did get season 3, but they would not have. So they would have known all the stuff like with Convoy Dine and stuff like that, but they wouldn't have actually gotten the film for that. And like all the other the other 2 shows, it was also solely animated by Toei. And it's got very solid animation, honestly. Like there's no ACOM episodes, there's no crap episodes. So yeah, that's a good thing. It ran for 44 episodes, and that includes clip shows. And put a pin in that because I'm going to come back to that later. And there's also a manga, and I will also touch on that later as well too. So, anywho, the story. So, I did not update this slide because Transformers Victory is actually set this year. Yeah, so this slide is wrong. It is out of date now, but yeah, we are in the same year that Transformers Victory takes place. So yeah, time is evil. Time is evil. We should have giant robots running around everywhere, and waging battle on Earth there. And we do not. Instead, we have other stuff. But yeah, the overall story of the series sees the latest in the long line of Emperors of Destruction for the Destron faction, Deathsaurus, determined to succeed where all of his predecessors have failed, and so he invades Earth with his troops in his spaceship, the Thunder Arrow, to steal all of the energy he needs in order to free his super weapon, the planet-destroying Fortress, which is currently sealed away in the Dark Nebula. And Starsaber, who has been freshly promoted to the rank of Supreme Commander, of the good guys, leads a team to protect Earth and stop the Destrons as they strike various targets around the world. It's a very global show because they go all over. Like, they do call out like where they're going, which countries they go to. Like, it is a very, very global show. And also, for any Tokusatsu fans in the audience here, the actual plotting on Transformers Victory is going to be very familiar. It is very much plotted like a Tokusatsu series. So, yeah, if you're a Toku fan, you're going to recognize a lot of story structure, just the overall shape of the narrative, like almost immediately, because it's following a lot of those same hallmarks. I suppose of Japanese children's TV, that's like the more actiony stuff. Come to think, because Super Sentai would have been going strong at that point. Yeah, but yeah, so it's pretty cool there. Before I go too much further, though, I'm gonna make a few translation notes here. Just for the newer fans who might not know some of this stuff, because again, time is evil. Time is very evil. But up until 2007 in Japan, the Autobots and Decepticons went by different names as far as factions go. The Autobots were known as the Cybertrons, and the Decepticons were called the Destrons. And no, there wasn't confusion with the planet name. The planet name in the Japanese stuff was not Cybertron, but Sabertron, which, yes, is spelled differently. And let me spell it out right now. It is spelled differently. And yeah, so that is why. That is why you have that. That is why you have the fan site with the same name, because they're just taking it straight up from the Japanese spelling. Victory continues to use this convention, of course, and honestly, I will probably end up interchanging some of the terms here and there, like as I'm doing this, because quite honestly, I think Destron is a much cooler name as far as factions go. That's just my own opinion there. So, yeah. Anyway, also, I'm going to be using the Japanese character names for everybody. Both previous official English translations of the anime kind of did some weird name stuff. Like, there's a few cases where they where in some of those official subtitles they straight up used completely different names for the characters. Like, for instance, the DVD release for Victory, I believe, for the Micromasters uses all of the US names for the Micromasters, even though those are entirely different from the Japanese ones. Like, there's no crossover whatsoever. Like, if you're listening to the audio, you can tell, that sort of thing. Like, that wasn't a great move of the subs, honestly. All right, anyway, let's quit hiding on my windows by clicking on the wrong thing. So, next up, let's get into the main characters of the series at the very start of the show. And I'm going to be peppering in more characters as we go on this thing, so please stay tuned. If I didn't mention some characters, that's just because I'm getting to them later as they first show up. So first up, we have the Rescue Force. Sorry, the Rescue Patrol. Rescue Force is a different group altogether. I just have the wrong thing in my notes. But yeah, the Rescue Patrol. They are Micromasters. They all turn into rescue vehicles, and they're from the planet Micro. And they are very much exemplify a priority of the Autobots all throughout this series there, which is saving human lives. Like, the Autobots' number one objective is making sure that humans aren't hurt in the crossfire by all of these Destron attacks. And yeah, what better exemplifies that than rescue vehicles? The leader of the team is Holly, and he becomes a police car. and he is the main member. That's him there in this, I guess, second from the left. And he is the main one that gets a lot of attention in the actual animation there. The other three are kind of just there. Holly is the one that gets the most focus. Um, and the others come in a few episodes later too. And the names are very descriptive, like Fire's a fire truck, Peepo is an ambulance, and in case you're wondering about the name, Peepo is the phonetic sound that ambulances make. So it's Peepo, Peepo, like that. That's the phonetic sound in Japan. And then of course there's Boater, who turns into a boat. And yeah, you would think that Boater's alt mode would be kind of useless, like because how often are they going to need a boat? But there's actually a fair number of instances where Boater's alt mode comes in handy in the show. So credit to the writers there. I did add some slides to this here as well, just to talk about some of the toys. I did not have these in my original slideshow, but yeah, so the Rescue Patrol, this is what the original toys were. They are the same as the Micromasters that the Rescue Patrol Micromasters that we got here in the US. There's no changes. You will notice, of course, like Holly is different colors in the animation than the actual toy. I think that's just more because of the fact that they were basing him off of a Japanese police car in the actual animation there. All right, next up, we have the Multiforce, or as they are known in the actual series dub, the Multi-Sentai in the actual audio. Multiforce is the official name for the team, though. Like, that's on all the toy packaging, like, and it's what's used in subtitles, but I just thought I would bring that up. And they are a team of Micromaster combiners, and they all embody the power of different elements. And they are combiners. You have a pair of them can interchangeably switch between either the top or the bottom of a single robot. So for instance, like you would have like Mach and Tackle there, where Mach, I've got like Mach and Tackle there as examples, where it's like you can have Mach Tackle, and you can also have Tackle Mach. And they are generally the scouting force of the Autobots there. They spend a lot of their time out on patrol, looking for enemy activity to stop their enemies and stuff like that. So they're the scout. They're the scout team more so. And they're generally depicted as these three pairs in the show. And it's generally a case of, the guy who's forming the top, his name comes first in the combined form generally. So, Wingwaver's the leader of the group. And he's the main one. He's the main one who has any personality and does anything. He's a bit impatient and hot-headed. He's the guy who wants to be out there getting in the fight. He doesn't like the whole idea of just waiting around for the enemy to attack, just looking for them. He's like, no, we should go be proactive. We should go fight them. We should take them out. He's a bit of a hothead. Mach Tackle is the next one who really gets any sort of who does much of anything there. And he's actually, from what I remember, he's the only one that actually does switch up his configuration too and become like Tackle Mach, as I mentioned there with the previous slides. I don't think Wingwaver ever becomes Waver Wing, that sort of thing there, but it is possible with the toys. And then you have Dash Tacker there, who is kind of, just there. Like, Mach Tackle got his own spotlight episode. Dash Tacker does not. He's kind of just another guy in the team. All right. And as I mentioned, the Multiforce is a combiner. They don't just combine like with two guys combining into one bigger robot. They also have a whole six-man team as well that is known as Landcross. And with that said, I'm going to get this out up front with the combiners in Victory. They are handled very differently than a lot of the Western stories tend to use combiners. Like think of combining, a lot of the Western combiners, they all have like ups and downs in terms of for their combination, where it might be like, oh, hey, we combine, but we get dumber when we combine, or like we get more vulnerable. Like a lot of combiners tend to be very stupid in G1. But in Victory, the combiners are very much just the sum of their parts. It's just a case of, you got a bigger robot who's still like just as smart or as dumb as the robots that were the component forms. There's no real difference there intelligence-wise. It's kind of like your standard Super Sentai, all the smaller robots combined into the more powerful, bigger robot trope. And there's always an implication there that there's a merged mind somewhat. We don't really dwell on that either. But the important thing is that, they're just as smart as combiners. They're more powerful when they're combined too. Anyway, yeah, this is Landcross's toys here. So you can see how this whole gimmick works looking at this there. Um, you, you've got like the 6 Micromasters there. They combining the tops and bottoms, which is actually, come to think, essentially what Superlink did as a gimmick there. Huh. I did not think about that when I made these slides. But yeah, it's essentially the Superlink gimmick. It's literally the Superlink gimmick, but with smaller guys. And then that is what Landcross looks like as a 6-man combiner. There are a lot of Masters teams in Victory. About 90% of the cast or so like has some sort of gimmick to them, and the Brainmasters here are no exception. And the Brainmasters are a little bit of the reverse of how they handled Headmasters in Japan, incidentally. Rather than it being a case of smaller guys who have bigger bodies that they then go into, and they like with the Transtectors sort of thing there, it instead is the idea is that they are like your regular size robots, and they can split off their head. They can split off their I guess their brains, so to speak. There, like the face of the robot comes out and transforms into a smaller version of the guy, so that they can go around in smaller spaces and interact with humans a bit more, that sort of thing there. So it's kind of like a bit of an Avatar type thing there. And the actual toy gimmick was such that the way it's illustrated right there in the slides, where you can see that the chest opens up, you put the Brainmaster inside, then you close it back up, and then the face slides up into the actual head. Like, that is straight up how it worked in the toys as well. It's a cool gimmick, honestly. Anyway, there's 4 Brainmasters in the series, and there are 3 main ones as shown here. Of the main 3 team there of Brainmasters, Blacker is the leader of the team. He's the guy who's in the middle there. The guy who is not actually like black in his robot mode. And he is the second in command among the Autobot team there in this series there. And his brain, all the Brainmasters have like different brains there that exemplify like their main attributes. And Blacker has the brain of strength, so he's the strong guy of the team. Braver is the guy off to the right over there, and he has the brain of intelligence. He is the team scientist. And then Laster, not Blacker, but Laster, that's his name, is the guy on the left there, and he has the brain of skill, and he actually does a bit of tinkering and inventing as well over the course of the series. These 3 Brainmasters can also combine. They combine into Road Caesar, and the 2 smaller cars form the legs, and then Blacker is the chest and arms. And yeah, it's solid enough combiner there. Here's what the toys look like for these guys. They just all combine into Road Caesar right there. And as I mentioned, there are 4 Brainmasters, and if you know anything about Victory, you probably know where this is going with the next slide, because it's the main character of Transformers Victory, the Supreme Commander of the Autobots, of the Cybertrons. It's Starsaber. And as the series begins, like straight up in the first episode, he's it's brought up like he's just been promoted into the new role as Supreme Commander of the faction there. So he's very new to his job. He's got a really awesome design there. Famously, he was actually designed by Kunio Okawara of Gundam fame. So when you hear all the jokes about like Starsaber looks like a Gundam sort of thing, well, yeah, no, he literally does look like a Gundam, because a guy who worked on Gundams worked on Starsaber. Yeah, they hired the guy who designed Gundam. And his main character trait, honestly, for Starsaber, his defining character trait is that he values life. Unlike, say, a Michael Bay Autobot, he puts civilian safety first. Protecting the weak and defenseless is his highest priority. It is a major personality trait and arguably a personality flaw in terms of how far he takes this, but it's your standard Japanese superhero type thing where the superheroes tend to value human lives. They tend to prioritize helping people before anything else. That is their major priority there. So he's a proper tokusatsu superhero, and yeah, he has the brain of courage, and that lets him combine into his smaller Saber form. He's got a little Brainmaster inside that body there. He also comes with a booster pack there that is known as the V-Star. He can ride it like a Goblin glider. He does that in a few episodes. He can also combine with it in jet mode. And yeah, you can see there, like I've got a shot there of him riding the V-Star. And yeah, honestly, it's a really cool visual, just him standing there riding this like thing like a goblin glider. Um, but yeah, also in the show, while the smaller toy is generally referred to as Saber, the show itself just refers to him as Star Saber all the time. Like it's just his name, and this is just like his full power up form here. But yeah, he goes into the chest and he becomes the fully powered up with the V Star. With a cry of battle up, he becomes the fully formed Star Saber. He's got his fancy sword. He's got like his big intimidating presence there, his Gundam style head, and he is a complete powerhouse in this form. Japanese media they don't tend to go in on the hero as the underdog quite as often. Like the heroes generally do start off fairly powerful. Like you'll have powerful villains, yes, but you'll have very powerful heroes too who can take the villains generally at the start of the series. Um, and at this point at the start of the series, like he can take on pretty much anybody and at worst fight them to a draw. And that's at worst. He generally is going to win like any engagement that he gets involved in. He's just like he can take them all on pretty much and win. And this is what his toy looks like for the original G1 toy. It's a I've never owned a lot of the Victory toys. I don't think I've owned any of them actually, but I mean fairly solid toy. Like you've got the whole Brainmaster gimmick, you've got like all of the you've got the little base mode there, which was never actually used in the show, but the toy does have a base mode. You've got the combined jet with the V Star, and then you've got the fully combined Star Saber like on the far right there. Also in the series, rounding out like the main cast here, we have the token human, Jan, Jan Minakaze. He is the child POV self-insert character of the series, who has a shockingly tragic backstory actually. Like in the first episode, you see him; he's just hanging around with the Autobots there. There's no real explanation like in the first episode. It's like, why the hell is there this kid who's just hanging around with the Autobots there? But no, it's not child abduction. It's not like irresponsible parents. It's straight up that his parents are dead. We find out very early in the series, I believe it was the second episode where we learn this here, that his parents were human scientists and their spaceship was destroyed by the Decepticons while he was a baby. And they shot him out into space in an escape pod there, and Star Saber found him and adopted him as his own kid. So yeah, Star Saber's his parent. Like it's Star Saber has a human son, and Jan is often paired up with Holly. They tend to get into a lot of mischief together there. They're very much like it's very much like like siblings there, in that they get along, they fight, like but in a very sibling manner. They're often teasing each other. And also, I'm gonna make a note here. I would make an argument that Star Saber is maybe not the best father figure, and for the weirdest reason. Because the problem here is that Star Saber, he's the type of superhero there who will like risk his own life at a moment's hesitation to save other people. It's a fantastic character trait. It works really well when you're a really powerful robot who will actually like come out of pretty much all of those fights and win. The problem is that kids tend to take after their parents, and Jen is no exception. So yeah, he generally tries pulling the same stuff Star Saber does, except he's a human kid, and so he's constantly getting himself in the. So yeah, he's constantly like getting himself in the danger. And there's honestly a few points in the series where I found myself going, "Wow, he's kind of a child soldier in this episode in terms of the stuff he's doing. This is child soldier stuff because he's literally a child." All right, a couple more Autobots here to round out the cast here. We have rounding out. We have in cameo role, we have God Jinrai from Transformers Master Force. No, he is not Optimus Prime despite his appearance. He just got a new Masterpiece toy, like just back in December actually. But Jinrai is not Optimus Prime. He used a body that was made for Optimus Prime. It's a long story with not that long of a story, but he became like the leader in Transformers Master Force by the end of the series. Jinrai was a human who essentially became like Optimus Prime's power master. Sorry, the power master of a body that was built originally for Optimus Prime, but Prime was dead. So so he's an Optimus Prime lookalike. We never actually see Overlord in the series there, who was the main villain that Jinrai fought in Master Force. But Overlord is name dropped, and he is the explanation for why Jinrai is not present for most of the show, because it's straight up name dropped that he's off fighting Overlord, like on other planets. But yeah, like that's a whole other panel, and he just cameos a few times, like in the first episode. He'll come back later in a bigger way. And yeah, rounding out the full cast here, we have Galaxy Shuttle, who you might have seen in that Walmart Velocitron toy line from a few years ago, or might not have seen him because he had horrible distribution in the U.S. They fixed that now, but yeah, he is big. His name is very apt because yeah, he is essentially a giant space taxi. Like that shot to the right that's his scale. Galaxy Shuttle doesn't even fit in their base. Like that's how big he is. He stands next to the base because he is too big to actually get in. He is like twice the size of the door, at least. Like he is massive. Yeah. So he spends most of his time just parked in shuttle mode on their base, like when he's not in an actual scene. And yeah, Galaxy Shuttle's toy. Just to quickly show what that looks like. Yeah, that's the Galaxy Shuttle toy there. And with that said, time to get into our bad guys, the Destrons. And we're going to start with the Goon Squad. Because, every villain team needs a Goon Squad. Like, that's just what you need in Toki. You need the guys for the heroes to just who get sent in first, who can actually, like, be fought by the other team members, who get wailed on a lot, and who are kind of idiots. And that's the Dino-Force to a T. And the Dino-Force, like the Multi-Force there, Dino-Force is their official name on all the packaging. On all the boxes, they are referred to as the Dino-Force. In the actual series audio, they are referred to as the Kyoryu Sentai. So, you could make an argument that maybe they're the original Power Rangers, because they're a dinosaur-themed Sentai team. They came up before Zyuranger. They beat Zyuranger to the punch. But yeah, they are Takara's release of the Monster Pretender toys that form Monstructor, but with entirely new Pretender shells. And their shells are green armored dinosaurs. And what's interesting here is I have the trans out not form note there because they never actually transform into their alternate modes in the series. They spend all of their time in their Pretender shells, except when they're using when they go trans out, turn into their robot modes. And they just emerge in the robot modes from their shells, and then they ride their shells like their mounts. So yeah, so you get this really cool visual there. You can see Goryu there just riding his T-Rex, leading the rest of the team. That's pretty much how they were generally most of the time. And they were the Goon Squad. They were the guys you send in to do smash and grabs and gather energy. And yeah, there's 6 members of the team. We have Goryu, who is the leader of the Dino Force, as you can see in the top right there. He's the guy who gives the orders. He's the smartest guy in the group, although that's still not saying much. And most of the time when you see Goryu, he's like waving his club around and he's riding his T-Rex most of the time. The others spend most of their time inside their Pretender shells, unless, say, they're off on a job collecting energy, that sort of thing there. And also, like the Marvel Comics, actually, they can remotely control their Pretender shells and have them do stuff like if they're busy doing other things there. So, like, the robots can be off doing stuff, and their dinosaurs are meanwhile doing things for them, like, while the robots are busy. And they are a very, very tight-knit group. Goryu is very loyal to his troops. He puts his guys first. He's the guy you want in charge because he's the guy who, he's not going to send his minions into as disposable fodder. He's like, no, these are my boys. These are my boys. And the other main member of the Dino Force who is notable, as you can see in the bottom right there, is Kakuryu. He's the Triceratops in the team there, and you really can't hate him. Kakuryu is the group's Kevin, to use a King Ghidorah reference there, or more accurate would be to say that he is the Kevin's Kevin. Like, this is pretty much the team dynamic of the Dino Force here. The team dynamic is straight up, you have Goryu who's telling everyone what to do, And then you have all the others who are just all idiots. And then you have Kakaryu, who is the idiot's idiot. Like, they are seriously, I love these guys. Like, the Dino Force are so much fun. They are seriously so much fun. I just have so much glee in my voice right now. They're fantastic. And they all combine into Dino King. He is objectively stronger than the sum of his parts. Like Dino King is like much more effective than any of the other guys individually. Like, he has a bit of a brain. He can actually fight. Like, he's definitely smarter as Dino King than he is as the individual Dino Force, and he can generally hold his own with most of the Autobots when he's in his combined form. The main guy he can't take in a fight is Starsaber. Starsaber is still stronger than Dino King. All right, and next up, we have the other Destron special team, and prepare to get this out of your system. Oh wait, no, right, I forgot. I have a slide in between. I added this slide of the toys there so you can see what these dinosaur pretender shells look like. They came in this gift set here. They're pretty cool figures. They're cool. It's a cool visual. Sadly, they can't actually ride to their shells like they could in the cartoon. But like the pretender shells are fantastic. Like, it's a very nice box layout for this gift set. But anyway, as I was saying though, we have another special team there. And get ready, get stuff out of your system. Because yes, this is the name of the next gimmicky team. They are the Breastmasters. Yes, that is the name of this entire subgroup of Decepticons there. And it's meant to refer to transforming breastplates, to be clear. It makes a lot of sense as a term. They have chest armor there that the chest armor transforms into these little animal robots, as you can see there. And the chest armor can also transform into guns. It's a very cool gimmick. It's a very, very cool gimmick. And yeah, the name makes a lot of sense because, you've got your headmasters, you've got your target masters, you've got your brain masters. So it's a logical leap to go, well, they've got breastplates, so they are breastmasters. And I'm just going to say Hasbro are cowards for going with chest masters on their Deathsaurus and on Liogeyser. They are complete cowards. They should own the term. They should own the term and go, yes, breastmasters, breastplate, screw that. Anyway, let's talk about the Breast Force, who, incidentally, it's not even a case of like, they're not a Breast Sentai or anything. Like, they are straight up the Breast Force in the actual audio dub as well, too. If the Dino Force is the equivalent of the enlisted men in the Destron Force, like the less educated guys, the grunts, the Breast Force is essentially the officer corps of the team. Like, they are the guys who are the skilled military tacticians, who know what's what, who are a very cohesive unit that all work together very well, that are able to think on their feet, come up with plans, have some very creative strategies. Like, the Dino Force has none of that. The Dino Force, you just send them in for smash and grabs, tell them, break things, and they are very good at breaking things. Tell them anything more advanced than breaking things, and they are generally not very good. But yeah, their names are very descriptive there. We have Jarugar there on the far left there, who's also referred to as Jaguar in some localizations. He turns into a dune buggy with a missile rack, and his partner there for his Breastmaster is a Jaguar. We've got Kill Bison in the middle there. His Breastmaster is a Bison. He turns into an APC type, like anti-aircraft tank. So a tank with giant missile launchers on it. And then on the far side, we have a Drillhorn, who his partner is a Rhino, Horn, and he turns into a drill tank. But yeah, again, I will stress that they are not the Breast Sentai, they are the Breast Force, so they are unlike all the other combiner teams in this series, interestingly enough. The leader of the team is Leozak. I'm giving him his own slide because he's a very prominent character on his own as being leader of the subgroup. His partner animal, his Breastmaster, is a lion, and he is the second in command of the Destron faction, and he's the leader of the Breast Force. He is very, very much an Armada Starscream type of character. So while he is the Starscream, he's not like your G1 Starscream. He is the guy who considers himself to be a warrior first. He doesn't like being sneaky. He doesn't like subterfuge. He is the kind of guy who will, like, in pretty much every conflict he gets in with Starsaber, he is the guy who will be, like, there, like, yelling, "Face me! I will fight you in single man combat. I will take you on." And he will not necessarily, and he will generally lose, but he will put in a genuine effort there. Like, he is very much the guy who, like, is convinced, wants to prove his superiority as a warrior. And he's the Starscream because he thinks things would be better if he was in charge. That being said, Leo Zak is also a realist, and he's never actually going to try and overthrow his boss because he knows his boss is objectively much more powerful than him. He would not be able to win in a fight. And yeah, so he's not even going to try. Yeah. I'm not going to show the toys yet because, like, we're going to get to the whole Combiner team later. At the start of the series, we only actually have these 4 members of the team in the show. The other ones will come in as it goes on. But yeah, we've got the leader now. Deathsaurus, the Emperor of Destruction. Everyone's favorite fire-breathing kaiju or space chicken, depending on who you talk to. He's a very ruthless leader. He has a long-standing grudge against Starsaber, and he is a double breast master there. He has Tiger Breast and he has Eagle Breast. Both of them can store in his chest at the same time. And he very much looks the part of just this menacing, imperious leader. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous aesthetic he has. And he is presented as an absurdly powerful character. Like, none of his men ever even consider the idea of trying to overpower Deathsaurus because they know they would lose. They know that Deathsaurus would beat them in a fight. And Deathsaurus is the type of guy who is convinced he's this genius tactician. He comes up with a lot of plans here and there, and then delegates those plans to his underlings. But he is the type of guy. He is like, you know, like every proper leader of a organization, in that nothing is ever his fault. If a plan fails, it wasn't because of him. No. The plan was fine. The fault was always with his minions. Leo Zak generally is the one who bears the brunt of a lot of those failures. And a lot of the times the failures aren't Leo Zak's fault. But yeah, but the thing too is that Deathsaurus is the type of guy who, when things go south, he doesn't go, okay, I'm going to step in and I'm going to salvage this plan. He instead goes, okay, once we lose, I am just going to physically abuse my underlings for their failure. He also loves big guns too. Just some quick translation notes on this here. This has been a debate for years in terms of what the official translation is for Deathsaurus. Some toys have used Dezaris as a translation, and some have used Deathsaurus. And in the actual anime, it's pronounced Dezuzarasu, which is like how you would say Deathsaurus in Japan, but it's why you have that Dezaris use on some of the toys. And on the actual toy pack, on the tech specs and on the original toy packaging, it actually is spelled Dezaris. But the question has always been, is it meant to be Deathsaurus instead? And this actually did get settled in 2015, when the original toy's designer, Koji Nono, confirmed at a BotCon that the intended name was in fact Deathsaurus for the character. All right, Deathsaurus's toy. It's a cool looking toy. Like, yeah, I've owned the Kabaya Kit version of this thing. It's a fun design. It's a really intimidating design. The Breastmaster gimmick is pretty cool. Yeah. But there's also one more attribute about Deathsaurus that I have to mention, and it's like the most important attribute about Deathsaurus. His throne. Because Deathsaurus spends almost the entire first half of the series parked in that throne. He's a bit more active in the back half of the show, but he spends most of his time sitting on his throne, bossing people around and doing nothing. And that's why, like in the HasLab, when they did the HasLab figure, like it was very much an essential inclusion because, like, when you see Deathsaurus, he is generally sitting in his throne giving orders to his men. Like, that is what he does. And the throne is so important. The throne is so important. I love this, and I love this bit in the anime here. The throne is so freaking important that he has an elevator for his throne in his spaceship so that he can move his throne around to other places. That's how important the throne is. Like, oh my god, I love this. I love this. I am just like have this massive smile. Oh my god. And speaking of his spaceship, the Thunder Arrow, Death Source's spaceship, is the main base of operations for the villains. So they have a mobile base. It travels from place to place, and they go around and try and steal energy. So it can go in space, it can go underwater. It's got a throne elevator, as I mentioned. You know, throne elevators are pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit about power levels in terms of general team strength. At this point, at the start of the series, Starsaber is easily the strongest guy out there. He's an even match for Death Source in a fair fight. And he defeats Dino King absurdly easily. He beats Dino King no problem. And he also literally towers over the entire Breast Force individually as well. They can't combine at this fifth stage. But yeah, he is like twice their size. Starsaber does have one massive weakness, though, as I mentioned here, which is the whole protecting bystanders thing. Because the thing is that Starsaber would rather do nothing than put any civilians at risk. He is so unwilling to see innocent lives be taken by the war that eventually the bad guys figure this out, and they routinely exploit the fact that Starsaber does not want to see anybody hurt, and they will work that into their plans. They will build their plans around taking hostages and endangering humans, specifically because they know that the Autobots will not act under Starsaber's command unless the humans are safe. So it's interesting, like, how his biggest weakness is actually his compassion. Like, honestly, I love that in a hero there, where, yeah, the hero is very powerful, the hero can beat all the villains in a fight, but the hero's own personality, the things that make him a better person than the villains, are also the same things that the villains will cheaply exploit every single time. Yeah, and we can see this illustrated in a few of their schemes. The Destron schemes over the course of the series, they tend to follow a general pattern. Their schemes tend to be all dedicated to raiding as much energy as they can from their target. Maybe a city, it might be a mine, it might be an oil tanker, but they generally also have a smash and grab component to their plans too, where they'll send the Dino Force in, the Dino Force will smash things and steal things, and then the Breast Force will, and then while the Dino Force is actually stealing all the energy, you will then have the Breast Force there to actually fight the Autobots and keep them at bay, because the Dino Force is useless for that. And meanwhile, almost always during all these schemes, Death Source is back sitting in the Thunder Arrow on his throne, doing nothing, and just expecting everything to go well. And then when stuff doesn't go well, he's then getting mad at his own men. And as I mentioned, more importantly, the plan often involves taking hostages, because they know that they can stop the good guys from doing anything if they do that. So, like, that can be as simple as, oh, hey, Grandest of Galvatron. Hello. Hello. And, why is my Mix-It-Up notifications not working? That's weird. Unless it's just on this screen. I don't know. I'm just going to restart Mix-It-Up, because I'm noticing my Mix-It-Up notifications.
Welcome.
My chat boxes are not working. I don't know why. I don't know why those aren't working. Let's the sounds are working. That's weird. The sounds are working, but I'm not actually seeing the visuals. Oh well, let's just restart Mix-It-Up here. I just restarted it too, that's the thing. It's just not showing my actual chat box. But anyway though, as I was saying though, the Destron plans will generally be like potentially as simple as grab hostages, or they'll be as complex as, we're going to threaten to murder a whole ton of humans if the Autobots don't back down and let them steal energy. And the biggest obstacle to the plans getting pulled off actually tends to be infighting among the various sub-factions in the Destrons. The Dino Force and the Breast Force do not like each other. They do not get along. The Breast Force see them as just mooks, and the Dino Force resents being seen as mooks. And a good example of this is actually the Tanker Hijack Operation episode, which is one of the better Destron schemes. I actually really like this plan. It's a very well thought out plan. And it was Drillhorn who came up with this plan, if I remember correctly. Um, but this plan involves Drillhorn goes and drills into every gas station reservoir in a coastal city. And they don't do that to steal the gas. No, 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 no. They don't steal any of that gas. No, they do that so that the city runs out of gas. He just sabotages all the gas reservoirs so they run out of gas. And then because of that, the city has to call in an oil tanker in an emergency in order to refuel, like refuel all their gasoline. And then the Destrons made a bomb threat and just went, hey, we're going to steal this oil tanker and you're going to let us steal it when it gets to the docks. You're going to let us steal the oil tanker when it gets to the docks because otherwise we're going to blow up the entire city and kill everyone. We've got a neutron bomb hidden, you don't know where. And then the Brainmasters, like, there's the whole question of, are they bluffing? Are they not bluffing? And then the Brainmasters ran into the Dynaforce over the course of trying to investigate that and found out that, oh, hey, yeah, no, there is a real bomb. Like, they weren't bluffing. They did plant a bomb. The Dynaforce is stupid enough to give away the fact that they did plant a bomb. And the plan kind of relies on that, too. So anyway, now the Autobots have to evacuate, they're trying to evacuate all the humans from the city so that the humans aren't killed by this neutron bomb. And they're trying to find the bomb at the same time. Not successfully, but they're struggling to figure out where this bomb is. And meanwhile, when the tanker does finally arrive, before it's even docked, the Breast Force has the Thunder Arrow emerge from beneath the ocean and just use the whole standard, as you can see in the image there. Use the standard. We're going to just literally swallow up the ship with our bigger ship there, and then we're going to be able to get everything there, and they're not going to be able to stop us because they're all busy in the city while we're off in the ocean still. And yeah, it's a very solid plan. It is foiled. The day is saved. But yeah, quite honestly, it is a very, very well thought out plot. A lot of the Destron plots are like this. Like they put some actual thought into their schemes. It's a proper Super Sentai formula where the villains have a different scheme every week. All right, and now we're going to get into the fifth member of the Breast Force, Hellbat. He shows up in episode 10. It's the first major status quo shift in the series there. And I would characterize him as the Starscream. Because yeah, he is, what if Starscream had negative charisma? That is how I would sum up Hellbat. He is very good at infiltration. He's very good at intelligence gathering. He has the hypnosis powers, which let him put people and robots to sleep. But the thing with Hellbat is that nobody likes or trusts Hellbat because they all think he's a duplicitous snake in the grass, because he is a duplicitous snake in the grass. He is, if you remember how, like in G1, how Starscream was incredibly transparent about wanting to take over, Hellbat is that, except Hellbat has none of Starscream's charisma, so everyone just hates Hellbat on the team, and he's all a complete coward. Like, Starscream's a coward too, but Hellbat's got one on him in terms of cowardice. He's even more cowardly than Starscream. And half the time Hellbat is spending what Hellbat is up to is Hellbat trying to cover his own butt because his own plans backfired. His own self-serving plans backfired, so he's trying to save face. All right. Normally I would skip over this episode as it's not a huge story arc episode, but I'm bringing it up because Transformers Victory, as I mentioned, it's a globe-trotting show, and they do an episode where the Destrons, as their evil scheme, they redirect an underground river, and they do that in order to power a hidden hydroelectric dam. Again, it's a very smart scheme. Like, they put a lot of thought into their plans to gather energy. But the thing that's funny here about this is that this story is set in, quote-unquote, southern Canada, which, as far as Japan is concerned, is a thing. But their take on southern Canada is essentially like them thinking that southern Canada, Southern America, the south of those countries is all the same, isn't it, in terms of their thing? But it's more like it's set in Banff. Like, geographically speaking, based on everything like goes on in the episode, yeah, it's set in Banff and the foothills of Banff. Like, so it's in Alberta, so it's, no one calls that southern Canada. Like nobody in Canada uses the term Southern Canada. It's kind of hilarious that the show does. Um, but yeah, it's a spotlight episode from Mock Tackle there. And yes, there was a bartender with a Hitler mustache, which unfortunately feels on point for my province. So yeah, hopefully this isn't a glimpse at the future here, given that again, Transformers Victory is set this year. Like this feels more on point than I would like. All right, we're getting into the Planet Micro arc now. I'm gonna just go and refill my drink because my throat is getting a little bit parched. Let me just grab some more tea and then we'll keep going. But yeah, we're getting to the Planet Micro arc with episode 17 here. This episode is when they go off world. Hold up, let me just finish filling up this tea and then I'm gonna need to microwave it. Hooray! This is what happens when you drain your drink. So I hope everyone's having. Yeah, I'm gonna just. That was a good time to, I guess, quickly stretch, take a break there while I am just refilling my tea. I hope people are enjoying the presentation so far, though. That said, I hope people are enjoying this. I'll be right back in a sec. I will step back. I will step back in just a minute. I'm gonna pop to the washroom as well. Hold up. All right, we're coming back. We're coming back. My tea just finished warming up. All right. All right, I got some tea. We're gonna come back over. We're gonna keep this going. So we're gonna keep this Transformers Victory presentation going. I'm just gonna double check my overlay widgets here just a sec. Let me just test my chat box here for a minute. Let's see if anything comes up. We'll just mix it up. Okay, yeah. Why is? Okay, yeah. I don't know why my overlay isn't coming up in mix up there, unless it's not connected to OBS or something. But I'm just trying to. I don't know what the issue is here. Like it's firing. Like I can hear this. I can hear the audio. It's just not actually. Unless I'm just checking my settings here. Chat, events, overlays. Let me just check my. Yeah, weird. Unless OBS's stuff changed here for the actual overlays. I'm just double checking this here. No, I think it's. Let's see. Let's update this. Where's my. I'm just going to double check my overlays here. Twitch chat. Yeah, the mix-up audio is firing. Yeah, it's got all the. Let me just copy the overlay for the main stream overlay here. Maybe the URL changed. No, the URL's still right. That's weird. Okay, so we're going to get back to this. We're going to get back to this presentation there. Apologies for the stream scuff. I don't know why that isn't working. I'll just have to fix that up later. Yeah, because it's definitely firing the events. But anyway, Planet Micro Arc, as I said. So what happens is in episode 17, around the midpoint of the series, Yes, I said 44 episodes. That's clip show inclusive, and I will get to that. But yeah, so they changed things up a little bit, and Galaxy Shuttle gets put to some good use here. Because yeah, the Destrons have been lying low at this point. So Starsaber and the Rescue Patrol decide to go and head off to Planet Micro, the home world of the Rescue Patrol there. You know, it's a planet full of Micromasters, so Planet Micro. And it's where God Jinrai is currently stationed. He's leading his team on the planet there. And there's a whole bunch of significant status quo shakeups that happen over the course of this story arc. And some fun one-off characters to show up too. First of all, we find out that Holly has a girlfriend, Clipper. She's a secretary. You know, it's Japan in the 80s there in terms of how they portray characters. Like, it's the same as RC in Headmasters, where, like, about all RC does is she's a secretary. Like, that's apparently what all that women are good for in late 80s Japanese Transformers, unfortunately. But yeah, that's pretty much her relevance to the plot right there, that she's Holly's girlfriend. Like, yeah. But we also get introduced to, more consequentially, a Great Shot. And if he's still in here, this is the character there that, for Ninjatron, if he's still in chat there, this is the character that should, that he's probably been interested to hearing me talk about a bit there. He's a six changer, and Great Shot used to be part of the Destrons. He was a bad guy. He switched sides some time ago, and he's now he's now the wandering drifter type there, who goes from place to place and fights evil. Exactly, 100 ninja power, yes. He's not really beholden to any command structure. And it's never actually confirmed on screen, but his whole description there of, you know, being this six changer who's a former Decepticon sounds a lot like a certain other Transformers character from Transformers Headmasters, who in certain dubs is known as a ninja consultant, and who switched sides to the good guy team by the end of the series. And Great Shot, yeah, like, the other Decepticons, they hate him. The ones who know who they are, they just see him as a traitor. He is very much we are going to kill this guy on sight because he's a traitor. That sort of thing there. And yeah, Great Shot's toy. He's a six changer, as I mentioned there. And this is the photo that I found when I was quickly slapping these together. He's like Six Shot. He's very similar to Six Shot here in terms of all his different modes, as you can see. I forget if he's actually a retool of Six Shot or not. It looks like it, but sure, it looks like he's a Six Shot retool. But I honestly can't remember now. But yeah, like, he's got all the different modes there. And when he first shows up, he fights these two guys. Yeah, okay, that's why I thought, yeah. Hello, Chandrox. Hello, and apologies for, like, why none of my I don't know why my stream visuals aren't actually working. All the audio was working on this scene. I'm just gonna do a quick check of the scene again here. Did I put my I'm just checking Twitch label banners. Unless I didn't put the actual stream view in here. I'm just double checking this again. Maybe I didn't. Oh yeah, I think okay, yeah, I think I see it. Let's see. I'm just double checking this stuff here. Maybe I didn't put my overlays into the scene. Let me just double check. Do I have a Twitch chat item in here? No. Oh, I do not have a Twitch chat item in here. Maybe that's why. Okay. All right, let's see if this fixes it. Hold up. Let's just try this. Okay. No, that did not fix it. Okay, but I don't know why this stuff is not working right, but but yeah, so we get these two guys who show up, Blue Bacchus and Black Shadow. They are mercenaries, and they have been hired to steal energy from the cities of Planet Micro while engaging in scorched earth, destroy everything tactics. Like, they are just straight up, like, destroying entire cities there so that they can raid energy from the scraps. And with that said, you can kind of see some foreshadowing there with how Black Shadow would get used in later media, in later fiction in the franchise there, which I'll touch on later, because he's pretty much used exactly the same way. And as we learn, these guys were in fact hired by Hellbat. They get defeated. They do get defeated, and then they find out that Hellbat was paying them using what he was hiring them to steal. And then they decide to go and chase after and kill Hellbat because Hellbat's welching on their payment because he doesn't have the money now. So they're very unhappy with Hellbat there. But yeah, they are Decepticons. They are mercenaries. They are not really part of a command structure. They show up in this one episode and that's it. And you never see them again. Anyway, here's their toys. I'll talk about the toys a little bit later, but they are retools of the Double Pretenders there. That came out in Japan. This is what they got for those characters. They're nice looking toys. Also on Planet Micro, though, we are introduced to the 6th member of the Breast Force in the very next episode. Because in episode 18, the rest of the Breast Force shows up on Planet Micro. Like after Hellbat does, they show up because they're planning a jailbreak. Because their 6th teammate has been locked up as a POW in jail on Planet Micro all this time. And now that they have 5 guys, they want to get like a 6th one so they can have the full team. I think they're also there because they've found out that Hellbat was doing this entire scheme behind their back as well. They did not know that Hellbat was doing this whole energy theft scheme, and he very much has to spin doctor why he cut everybody out of the loop in order to make himself look good. But yeah, Skyhawk is a POW who's in a work camp prison there where they feed all the prisoners the bare minimum they need to stay alive and then put them to work. Autobot ethics, everybody. Autobot ethics. We're going to starve our prisoners and we're going to work them to the bone. They're the good guys. But yeah, his Breastmaster is a Hawk. And funnily enough, he's got a special ability as well. And he has an Ice Needle special ability where he shoots ice needles at people that can paralyze. So he's a very dangerous guy. Very dangerous. Like, the rest of the Breast Force, they all love him. Like, they all think Skyhawk is, like, the swellest dude. Like, they're like, yes, we can get Skyhawk back. It's not a case of, oh, we gotta get this guy back. It's like, yes, it's our guy. We're gonna break him out of jail, and he's gonna be part of the team again. And Drillhorn, up until this point, had been acting as Leozak's second in command. And he kind of takes that slot, and no one really minds. He also hates Great Shot's guts. He used to be friends with Great Shot before Great Shot switched sides. And he didn't know about this until the jailbreak, when they try and stop him from getting out. And just as a result of that, he is like, wait, what? You're a traitor now? I hate your guts? And so Skyhawk's number one priority at that point becomes brutally murdering Great Shot because he's a traitor. So yeah, they break him out of jail, and now the Breast Force has 6 members, and now they can at long last combine. But there's a little fly in the ointment here. Anyway, here is the whole, first we've got the whole team set as well, all the different Breast Force toys. There they are with their Breastmasters. Just figured I would include some toy shots as well there too. Makes sense. But yeah, as I said, there's a fly in the ointment for the combinations there, and that is, yeah, they're a full team. They're now going to be able to combine. They're going to be able to form a combined form as soon as they fire Hellbat and replace him. Because, as I mentioned, nobody likes Hellbat, and the stuff on Planet Micro was kind of the last straw for the entire team. Hellbat reads the room. He is like, oh God, they're going to fire me. They want to replace me. The rest of the team is meeting behind my back. Why are they cutting me out of the loop? I need to start spying on them. This is all in episode 19 of Victory, and it's one of my favorite episodes of the series. So Hellbat decides to spy on his teammates while they're in a closed room meeting, and learns that yes, his teammates all hate him and they want to replace him. And and Leozak has already called the 7th member of the team, Death Cobra, and has called him in order to take Hellbat's place on the team so that they can fire Hellbat. And yeah, no one likes Hellbat. And Hellbat doesn't like the idea of getting fired. He is like, oh God, they're going to fire me. So he does what any reasonable person who wants to keep his job would do, which is intercept his replacement and beg him to leave. And one thing, and beg him to leave includes pulling a gun on him. And one thing leads to another. Like, God, this entire sequence, like Hellbat intercepts Death Cobra and is literally on his hands and knees, being like, please, please, please don't join the other guys. I want to keep my job. And that just makes Death Cobra madder at Hellbat. Just the whole, you're disgusting. I can see why they want to replace you. You're the worst. So then Death Cobra pulls a gun. Sorry, not Death Cobra. So then Hellbat pulls a gun. You get a standoff. Hellbat is like, don't make me shoot. Don't make me shoot. Oh, God. And then his trigger finger slips. And he accidentally shoots. Like, it's entirely by accident. It's amazing. So he accidentally shoots Death Cobra. And the two get into it in a shooting fight. And then Hellbat hiding behind a rock. Randomly, by complete chance, he's not even looking, by complete chance, he hits Death Cobra in the open wound from the first shot and kills Death Cobra. It's amazing. It's amazing. And he knows that he's in it. He's in it for it now. He knows he's in for it now because he just murdered Death Cobra. And as soon as the other guys find out, oh, he is toast. He is toast. So he does what any reasonable person would do in that situation where you accidentally murdered your replacement. And he notices that there were a couple of passing Autobots up on the hill nearby. I think Holly and Clipper were off on a bit of a jaunt, if I remember correctly. And they just happen to see everything going on, and we're like, what the hell's going on here? Let's stop and watch this. Hellbat notices them and is like, oh my God, I have a scapegoat. So then he flies off and tells Leo Zach that, oh God, the Autobots murdered Death Cobra. And thus you get this, you get the end of this chain of events here where this is, you get loss, essentially. Furious and galvanized by this lie, the Breastmasters vow vengeance, and they merge to form Lio Kaiser at this point. They are now a 6-man team. They now want to get revenge for their dead teammate there. And Lio Kaiser, as it turns out, is far, far more of a match than Starsaber can handle. If you remember that power level chart I showed a while back there, Lio Kaiser takes the top spot on that power chart overnight. He proceeds to beat Starsaber within an inch of his life in their first encounter. The only reason Starsaber survives is that God Jinrai interferes at the last second and stops Lio Kaiser from murdering him. This is the midpoint of victory. The hierarchy of power in the Japanese G1 universe has now changed. Yeah. And one more thing I love about this there for Lio Kaiser, because Lio Kaiser, he's an overpowered combiner. He's got this cool, he's got his giant staff, which can also become a flail. He is this massive dude who can beat Starsaber in a fight. And he has a cloaking device. Yes, that's right. They gave a combiner a cloaking device. And yes, it is very effective in battle. Like, there he is just about to job Landcross right there by coming at him from behind. You can't see him. It's oh my God, just no notes. It's just, oh my God. Lio Kaiser is crazy overpowered. I love it. Anyway, that's what Lio Kaiser looks like in combined mode for his toy. I guess a note I will say about him is that as a figure, he is in fact an mostly all-in-one combiner, unlike a lot of G1 characters. Like the hands and the feet are all built into the individual limbs, so there's no Scramble City gimmick with him. The only thing on Lio Kaiser that is a add-on piece is the helmet. It's just a helmet that goes over top of Leo Zach's head there in order to form the Lio Kaiser head. But everything else is built into the main combiner there. Yeah. So now, while all this stuff has been going on the planet Micro, meanwhile, Deathsaurus has not been sitting idle. Deathsaurus has meanwhile gone off to go check in on his depowered fortress there. And we finally get some backstory on Deathsaurus and what his evil plans are about halfway through the show. And we learn that at some point in the distant past, um, Deathsaurus essentially built himself a Death Star, the planet-destroying fortress. It's this massive, massive, like just, like probably the size of, probably the size of a small moon sort of thing. They're like, he literally just built a Death Star. It's an unstoppable battle station. And the main guy who was back in the day, the main guy who stopped him was Starsaber, and that's why he hates Starsaber so much. Because a lot of guys died in order to take it out, but in the end, the Autobots succeeded in depowering the fortress before it could do anything, and then they sealed it away in the Dark Nebula, where it would not be able to actually get back out without power. So the space station was trapped there. Was trapped there. And that's when we find out that Deathsaurus's plan this entire time, like the whole reason he's been stealing energy for the entire series there, is that he is trying to get enough energons that he can go and he can turn his fortress back on and get it out of the Dark Nebula. And the entire point of this trip of his to go into the fortress, like he takes the energy they've stolen so far, uses it to turn the keys, turn the ignition back on. It doesn't have enough power to really stay on for more than a few minutes, but the entire trip was just a proof of concept, just to make sure that Deathsaurus's plan would actually work. So yeah, the entire point is it's like now Deathsaurus knows that his plan is viable, that he can repower his fortress, and that his plan is going to work. Anyway, he's all caught up in nostalgia for his hatred of Starsaber amidst all this. And then he notices that Starsaber's on his way back to Earth from the planet Micro while all this is going on. And, he's all fired up from thinking about, like, his grudge and everything like that, just wallowing in like, past hatreds. So he decides he's going to just go murder Starsaber right here and now while it's the first thing on his mind. And in pursuit of this, he reveals a brand new weapon, the Living Metal Destroying Cannon. It's a giant gun. He can use it in both robot mode and alt mode there. And it was a stretch goal in the HasLab. And as a giant cannon that he can plug into his own body, he can use his own energy as a power source, and it can destroy living metal. The gun is straight up stated it's lethal to Transformers. Like, it is specifically designed to kill other Transformers. So yeah. In this encounter, Starsaber almost does get murdered by Deathsaurus. Starsaber just keep in mind too, Starsaber just barely survived fighting Liokaiser on the planet Micro. Like, he only survived. The only reason he didn't die then and there was that God Jinrai saved his life, and he almost dies again here. Like he takes a bunch of shots. Deathsaurus has a clean shot on him too, and Starsaber is incapacitated at this point. Deathsaurus has a clean shot with his gun, and then it runs out of power. And that's entirely because he got distracted. He had to make another shot at some of the Autobots there in order to fight them, and because of that, he did not have enough power to do the kill shot. And because of that, he retreats, and Starsaber lives to fight another day. But he almost won in this episode. Like, again, look at that last shot. He's got a giant gun to Starsaber's head. Like, if he hadn't run out of power, he would have killed him right then and there. So anyway, everyone's back on Earth now, and this is where things start to go south for the Autobots, like over the course of the next few stories there. Because with Liokaiser completely changes the entire dynamic for power there, because Liokaiser can take anybody in a fight. And because Liokaiser can take anybody in a fight, it means that they can't actually beat the Destrons in any encounter now. And so we have a couple more opportunities over this whole period there where Liokaiser again almost kills Starsaber. And the only reason he doesn't kill Starsaber is that another Autobot jumps in order to take the killing blow and fight him, and then gets incapacitated themselves. And the Destrons get bolder and bolder with their plans, and they start winning some of their encounters too, and stealing energy. Like, for instance, I mean, case in point, like Blacker ends up in a cast. I don't get how that works. Why robots would need casts in order to, because of an arm injury. But yeah, like Blacker gets put in a cast by Lio Kaiser and is out of the fight for a bit. I believe the Multiforce also gets taken out at one point too, so they're also unable to fight. So yeah, they're able to take out a lot of guys there. And the only relief that they get throughout this whole thing is that Great Shot happens to show up on Earth, and he provides another body to help barely contain Lio Kaiser. But yeah, like the problem with this though is that while they're busy fighting Lio Kaiser, the Dino Force is meanwhile stealing all the energy, and so the Destrons are actually starting to win their encounters now. They are strong enough to actually win. This all culminates in episode 25 of Victory here, a deadly battle, when the Destrons have gotten really bold and they decide to they just do a plan to just lure Starsaber out to kill him at this point, because at this point the Autobots are pretty much all on the bench at this point. Most of them have been very badly injured. They're in no shape to fight. So they lure Starsaber into a trap. And it's straight up like it's an underground cage match in a Chinese Emperor's tomb between him and Deathsaurus. Like you full on have like you see the terracotta stuff there. They're full on as a shot in there where Deathsaurus disguises himself as a terracotta soldier and then bursts out and attacks Starsaber. It's great. Like yeah, and so yeah, you have Deathsaurus brought his cannon with him, and then in comes Lio Kaiser with the steel chair, as you see right there, with the giant rock. And it's just like Deathsaurus and Lio Kaiser ganging up on Starsaber. Like I am just getting passionate here, you guys. But yeah, this whole bit here, it's Deathsaurus and Lio Kaiser both ganging up on Starsaber and just beating him into a pulp. And they're gonna murder, and they've got him buried under rocks. They're gonna just murder him right then and there. Like he is just gonna he's just gonna shoot Starsaber with his living metal destroying cannon. Deathsaurus Deathsaurus has enough power this time. He's got his gun lined up. He's got a clean headshot lined up. He gets ready to take the shot, and then God Jinrai shows up at the last minute, takes the cannon shot, and several more hits from the gun. And Deathsaurus retreats because more reinforcements do arrive. But yeah, with a cry of Godmasters are immortal, God Jinrai collapses in Starsaber's arms. He is mortally wounded at this point. Next episode, the death of God Jinrai. Yes, he's not dead yet, but he's like full on in an iron lung, and you know how I meant. And going back to like earlier in the presentation, you remember how I mentioned that Transformers the movie had not come out in Japan yet when Victory aired, even though they'd had several shows like since the movie took place. Yeah, this was around the time Transformers the movie came out, so there was probably some very deliberate mirroring going on here. Um, and and yes, Wheeljack is alive in the Japanese canon. Yeah, they got Transformers the movie a few months before this episode aired. So yeah, it's when they animated this and stuff, they probably didn't realize Wheeljack was actually supposed to be dead. Because yeah, Wheeljack, Perceptor, and Minerva all turn up as Autobot medics there. And again, it's very similar to Death of Optimus Prime. Like the whole, the wounds are fatal. He's dying. He's on his way out. But they have a crazy plan that just might work. Perceptor doesn't like the idea. Perceptor is like, no, this is too risky. I'm not even going to bring up this plan. It's too risky. So I'm pretty sure it's a Wheeljack plan. I'm pretty sure this is a Wheeljack plan here. But God Jinrai is willing to try anything here. And that's the intro to the next major narrative element in Victory here, which is the death of God Jinrai and the birth of Victory Leo. It's set up here that Starsaber had previously been working on the idea of making a body that could combine with him as a power-up. And God Jinrai volunteers to be sacrificed in order to bring this to life, in order to make a new body that can power up Starsaber so that he can actually stand a chance against his enemies. And this isn't a thing like, to be clear, this isn't like Goldbug or something like that, where it's like, oh, hey, it's a new body for an existing guy there. The narrative straight up makes it clear that there is death of personality involved. So even though God Jinrai is, God Jinrai, is, they're going to use his life force in order to power Victory Leo's body, and it's going to still have, like elements of memories, and it might still have, some of the memories and stuff like that. it's straight up going to be an entirely new person. So like God Jinrai is going to die, but in death he is going to live. And the show takes this very seriously as a concept. Like they do not beat around the bush with that. They're like, no, he is. It's not God Jinrai in a new body. It's God Jinrai sacrificing himself to make a new being. And it's an entire. And this decision takes an entire episode there too. Like it's taken very seriously. So anyway, so he's rebuilt as Victory Leo here. He's now a lion. He is very powerful, like how God Jinrai was. He's got a spaceship mode that they made up for the anime. That's not an actual toy mode. And you can kind of fake it with the toy, but they made up the spaceship mode for the anime. The operation does work, but almost immediately God Jinrai goes full feral, and he immediately just starts attacking everything and everyone. He has very strong animal instincts, and he just wants to fight stuff. And he is more interested in battle than saving lives. And that actually results in a very funny moment there in an episode there where at one point Leozak is taking hostages, and he's fighting Victory Leo. Victory Leo is absolutely creaming him, and Leozak's at gunpoint, and he's like, "Oh, you can't keep fighting me. No, what about all those humans over there? They're all under threat. You need to go save them. Leave me be and go save them." And Victory Leo is he doesn't care. Like that's how much of a different person he is. He just has lost all of his compassion and empathy. He is just a killing machine at this point. He does recover his memories though by the end of this episode there, and he does become a little bit more like his old self there. He does regain his sense of compassion for other life. But again, like this just helps underscore the idea that Victory Leo is a completely different guy than God Jinrai. It's a nice touch. And speaking of Victory Leo, here's what his toy looks like. It's a neat enough toy, I guess. It's designed as a power up for Star Saber, as I mentioned there, so that plays into a lot of the aesthetics on this figure, in terms of these parts are going to be used to upgrade Star Saber, like with the wing design and stuff like that there. And as I said, they've got a powerful new warrior now. Great Shot is helping them out as well too. But yeah, the Destrons still have an edge. And Deathsaurus' latest plan is actually a very smart plan. He doesn't know about the Victory Saber upgrades yet. But Deathsaurus' plan at this point is he is going to. This is a great plan. This is a fantastic plan here. But Deathsaurus' plan at this point is he has an orbital scatter missile launcher. He has put like a missile launcher in orbit around the planet there that can hit 4 targets at once. And to demonstrate this thing, what he does is it's like he fakes like an attack there, calls all the Autobots to a location. They're like, what the hell's going on here? And then he unveils his weapon and with a live demonstration, and he blows up 4 targets, including Calcutta. Like he blows up, like there's 4 various targets around the world, like including the city of Calcutta. Like he just, using this weapon there, because he is very much like, this weapon is that it can track Star Saber, the weapon there, and before Star Saber can reach the weapon, it is going to be able to pick a new target and fire a missile, and the missiles are going to move so quickly that Star Saber would not be able to stop this thing. So with this weapon, Deathsaurus effectively blackmails the Autobots into doing nothing, because he is going to just start picking random populated targets and blow them up if the Autobots don't let him just do whatever the hell he wants and steal energy. It's a very solid villain scheme. A very, very solid villain scheme. And and he just murdered millions of people, so like that just he's the fact he did the live demonstration first kind of just underscores just how serious he is with this weapon. The problem does get solved though, because Star Saber then undergoes his half of the experimental surgery for combination. Once he has done that, he is able to combine with Victory Leo, which lets him form the much faster and more powerful Victory Saber. And with that speed upgrade, he is able to then get to the satellite, overpower Deathsaurus, and destroy the satellite in time before it's able to fire again, and the plot is foiled. It's a good episode. And again, like just goes into the whole thing of how like the villains in this series have very good plans. They have very well thought out plans. And yeah, here's what Victory Saber's toy looks like. So Victory Leo comes apart. He forms a wing pack. He forms boots, and then like his the V-Lock cannon there just becomes a new gun for Victory Saber, and then sorry, and then Victory Leo's shoulder like his back cannons become shoulder cannons there for Star Saber. And then you get just that whole combined mode there as well in jet mode with the V-Star combined onto a Victory Leo there. And yeah, I mean it's a cool visual. That whole ship look is really impressive there. He's like just another booster rocket. So anyway, with this said, the balance of power shifts back in favor of the Autobots here. Lio Kaiser is now no longer the top dog. Victory Saber keeps handily beating him in every encounter at this point. So the Destrons start losing again. And they start getting bolder and bolder with their plans as a result. And they're getting more and more desperate with their plans, more elaborate plans. Deathsaurus still does nothing to help any of these plans here. Deathsaurus still sits on his throne, and he gets angry that his minions aren't actually winning, even though he's not actually doing anything to help. Like, half the time in the series, if Deathsaurus had actually gotten out of his chair and done something, then they would have been able to, like, flip the script, and probably win their encounter. But because he doesn't, they keep losing. And Victory Saber now can actually beat Lio Kaiser in a fight. All right. Shortly after this, who remembers Jan, who has been throughout the series all this time, but I just haven't brought him up. He's been present in all these storylines. He just hasn't had like a major role in the story. But at this point, though, he decides he wants to do more than just stay on the sidelines, and he wants to join the fight as well. So Star Saber does what any responsible parent of a preteen kid. Again, I can't stress this enough that Jan hasn't even hit puberty yet. That he decides to respond to this "I want to fight" desire by letting his team build a robot mech for him to fight in. Like, this is a kid who's too young to drive, and they're building him a battle mech, an armed battle mech. There is an important thing though to this mech, and the reason I bring this up, even though this is a one-off episode somewhat, what's important is that this mech is made with Earth materials, and as such, Deathsaurus' weaponry to this point, like the living metal destroying cannon, like the weapons in his planetary fortress, all of his weapons are built to destroy living metal, which is what Transformers are made of. His weapons do not work on this mech because it was made with Earth materials, and that is straight up going to be a plot point in later episodes. It's a very important plot point. Also, Jan named his mech the Illumina 2, and he named it after his school sweetheart. Because yes, Jan is in school. They have an episode where Star Saber goes and enrolls him in school. That's like I think that's episode 2 where he enrolls him in school actually, and it's got like Catholic nuns teaching and everything. And yes, of course, Jan also chose the name before he asked permission. You know, that's not creepy at all. That you're going to name this thing after your school sweetheart there, and after she goes, yes, you can name this after me. You'll go, okay, good, because I already put the name on the side of this thing. Good. All right, and now we're entering the end game of Transformers Victory at this point here. Deathsaurus has gotten increasingly desperate to get the energy he needs to repower his fortress, all while he's doing nothing himself and blaming his minions. Like, he's full on, like, about the only thing Deathsaurus is doing at this point is beat up Leozak because Leozak failed him. Like, Leozak is, like, getting very unfairly treated throughout all this, honestly. And meanwhile, throughout all this, Hellbat has been starting to show, go back to his old ways of being a self-serving weasel and trying to curry favor with Deathsaurus, with the idea being that, yeah, I'm going to just make myself look good at the expense of everyone. Deathsaurus will like me more, he will promote me, and I will get Leozak's job. And so he pitches a new plan to Deathsaurus there that it's going to require a substantial capital investment. The Destrons will have to use all the energy that they have collected to this point in order to pull this plan off. But if they do succeed with this plan, they are going to be able to get everything that they need in order to repower the fortress, in one plot. So it's a very bold move. It's a very risky move. And the source says yes. They decide to try it because they're getting desperate at this point. And with that said, I'm just gonna go get another drink. I need to go refill my drink. I need to boil more tea, but I'm probably also just gonna get like some water or something too, because my throat is getting a little parched. But yeah, we are moving on. We are getting into the final story arc of Transformers Victory now, and this one I'm going to be describing in a much more beat-for-beat manner because a lot of stuff happens in this story arc. A lot of plot events crammed into a few episodes, and it's all very good stuff. And appropriately to final story, for those of you who are familiar with Sonic Adventure, it's very appropriate that I use those terms. Act 1, The Terror of the Giant Tidal Wave. Like, The Terror of the Giant Tidal Wave is the name of the episode. So Hellbat's plan, in one word, is Atlantis. Like, as in what his plan is we are going to use all of the energy that we've gathered so far, and we are going to set off explosives underwater there. That is going to cause some shifts in the tectonic plates, and that is going to raise the ruins of Atlantis to the surface of the water. And once Atlantis is above water, we can then go in and we can steal all the energy that is just sitting around in Atlantis there. Because Atlantis apparently exists in this continuity. Like, yeah, it is a silly plan. It is a silly plan, but it is completely bonkers. But it works. Because the thing is, as part of this plan, it's a bonkers plan. But the best part about the reason the plan works as well as it does is because when you raise a continent from the ocean floor, that's going to cause tidal waves everywhere else in every coastal city in the world. Now then, guess where people live? Coasts. And remember how I mentioned that Starsaber considers the biggest priority to be saving human lives? That means that because of the side effects of this plan, the Autobots are completely engaged in rescue, in search and rescue, in getting humans out of the flood zones, in saving as many lives as they can. And Deathsaurus is meanwhile, like killing like millions upon millions of humans in the process. So they're able to do absolutely nothing to stop the Decepticons like over the course of this plan. It's a very successful plan. They fill up the entire hold of the Thunder Arrow. Deathsaurus has all the energy he needs now. The Dino Force, they've been collecting energy. There's still more. They filled the entire cargo hold of the ship. And then he tells the Dino Force, to just keep grabbing energy. I'm just gonna head out. I'm gonna come back later. I'm gonna pick you guys up. And I'll be back in 5. I'm going to go out to the corner store, get some cigarettes. So then, Atlantis, meanwhile, starts to sink underwater again. This was only ever a temporary raising of Atlantis. So it starts to sink back underwater. The Dino Force, meanwhile, they're still stuck there on this continent. None of them have, alt modes appropriate for water. They're consumed by the tides as Atlantis sinks again. And meanwhile, Deathsaurus goes and picks up the Breast Force, and he makes a beehive for his fortress. So he just completely abandons the Dino Force on Earth and decides to go and repower his fortress because he doesn't need those mooks anymore anyway. They've served their purpose. They've done everything that they're good for. I don't need these guys now. Let's get my actual competent troops, and let's go repower my fortress. So yeah, he has now turned, and so now we get into the second story in this, the Wrath of the Resurrected Giant Fortress. He has fully powered his fortress back up again, and he has moved his chair into the fortress, because you got to move your chair, you got to use your chair elevators, and he makes a beeline immediately for Earth, because Deathsaurus is going to do, now that he has his super weapon, he is going to do what every other leader before him has failed to do. He is going to destroy the Earth. And he is straight up doing this in a No one who came before me actually succeeded in this. Watch me succeed. I'm just gonna blow up the place that keeps like being a graveyard for all of the leaders of our faction. And as he approaches, like he hasn't even done anything yet, but as he approaches, he just starts using mass driver weapons there. For anybody who's seen Babylon 5 before, you know what I mean by mass drivers. That is when you that like a mass driver. I'm using the Babylon 5 term for this, but a mass driver is when you shoot an asteroid at a planet. So he just starts bombarding Earth with asteroids from orbit. He hasn't even used any of the weaponry of his fortress yet. He is just using his fortress to lob asteroids at Earth, causing untold millions in deaths. The Autobots are busy just scrambling to save as many people as they can and destroy as many of these asteroids as they can there. Um, so like at this point, I will be honest, Deathsaurus in terms of like the body count, Deathsaurus at this point for a body count has been more successful in killing humans than any other Decepticon leader in history. Like it's not even close. He is easily he's easily killed like tens of millions of humans over the course of this series, like as a direct result of his plans. Like Megatron never got anywhere near that. Ultimate Doom, he maybe let him take people out, but yeah, like Galvatron nowhere near that. Black Zarak, yeah, like no, like in terms of killing humans, Deathsaurus is the most successful Decepticon leader, like of all of the leaders. Anyway, meanwhile, like the Victory, Road Caesar and Great Shot decided to then head into space to try and stop the fortress while all this stuff is going on, and they can't even get close to the fortress. Its defenses are too strong. They can't do anything to stop it. And even Victory Saber gets blown away by the main weapon. He can't get close. Like the main gun of the fortress just blows him away. Like Deathsaurus, there is nothing that can stop Deathsaurus at this point. Except cigarette shopping has consequences. Because the Dino Force, they washed ashore amidst all this. They washed ashore. They're in denial that they got ditched by their boss. They're like, oh, no, he's totally coming back for us. We swear. This is only temporary. We're going to keep following his orders, even though he clearly doesn't care about us. So they decide to do, like, in lieu of any other plans, they decide to just do what they're good at and just smash and grab and just blow things up and steal energy, because that's all they can do. And then the Autobots show up there and are like, yo, guys, like, your boss ditched you, right? Why are you still doing this? Like, Deathsaurus doesn't care about you anymore. He left you to die. And the Dino Force is in denial. They fight back, form Dino King, and then Dino King gets hit. Remember those meteor bombs that I mentioned there? Like just all the asteroids that they've been firing at Earth. So Deathsaurus ends up at ground zero of one of those blasts, and it leaves him for dead. Like he's taken out by. It's very much like Inferno and Quick Strike at the end of Beast Wars, where they're like killed by Megatron's own weapons on the Nemesis. Except that the Autobots are heroes and they save their lives. And actions have consequences. And because the Autobots saved the lives of the Dino Force, because they stepped in and they did the right thing, the thing that heroes should always do, and they saved people no matter how despicable and vile they are, Goryu told them how to disable the fortress. Because he was like, well, Deathsaurus doesn't care about me. You saved our lives, so I'm going to do something for you now. And so we get the last episode of Transformers Victory here. Showdown. The Fortress versus the Victory Unification. Victory Saber is up in space, and Deathsaurus transforms his fortress into this thing here. His fortress has a second mode as a giant space gun. And he is just going to shoot the Earth and blow it up. Like, that's, like, in this mode, he's just going to use it as a giant gun. He's just going to completely atomize the Earth. He doesn't care about the planet anymore. He got everything he wanted out of it. He is going to destroy this grave site of many a Decepticon leader before him. And at this point, we go back to Jan, who decides to take things into his own hands. Jan and Holly head up in Galaxy. They decide, to head up in Galaxy Shuttle and infiltrate the fortress themselves with the information that the Autobots just got from the Dino Force there. and they're going to try and sneak in. They have a map to the thing, and they're going to go in. They're going to blow up the power core for the fortress and disable it. Star Saber sees them going in. Like, he's busy up in space. He's trying to get close. He's trying to get past the fortress defenses. You've got Lio Kaiser out there as well, running interference. But yeah, so he happens to catch Holly and Holly and Jan going in. Jan is in his mech, the Illumina 2. While he's doing this, and Star Saber has one of those, oh my god, I'm a horrible parent moments, because he sees his kid is clearly going off on a kamikaze operation, and he decides to go and try and stop him. He can't even get close though. The fortress is just too strong. But this is where we come back to the bit where I mentioned Jan's mech is not made of living metal. And because of that, none of the defenses in Deathsaurus's fortress recognize him. They're just looking for Transformers. They are not looking for a kid in a bipedal mech. And because of that, Jan is able to slip past all the defenses. And then he turns again, Jan does the thing that you expect all preteens to do, in that he turns his mech into a bomb and sends it into the power core and manages to disable the entire fortress. Deathsaurus is pissed at this point. Like, he just had his moment of victory snatched away by him by like a human kid. Like, just in the best way possible. Yeah, he is pissed. He is very pissed at Deathsaurus. So Star Saber goes after Jan. He can actually get in now because the entire fortress is shut down. So he can get in to get Jan, and he comes face to face with Deathsaurus. Deathsaurus is pissed. He is just, I am going to destroy you. So we get a final epic battle between Star Saber and Deathsaurus, where they have a to the death battle. It's not even Victory Saber at this point there. It's just Star Saber and Deathsaurus having a one-on-one combat. And Deathsaurus ends up mortally wounded in this fight. He loses the fight. Like, they have the whole the whole thing where they come at each other with their swords and stuff. He's mortally wounded. He is bleeding out at this point. He is going to die. And Deathsaurus then plays the villain card of, if I can't win, you're going to lose. And he does the one thing he can do with his fortress's defenses, weapons shut down, and aims it at the Earth. He is going to just collision course his fortress with the planet Earth. So if he dies, everyone on Earth is going to die, and Star Saber is going to lose. Star Saber thus heads off to go and get Jan out of there, and then he combines again with Victory Leo to destroy the fortress before it can crash into the Earth and wipe out everything on the planet. Star Saber dramatically charges straight at the main gun of the fortress with Burning Justice. Charges straight in from space. It's an epic scene. It's a very epic scene, and the fortress is destroyed. But at what cost? So, now we're in the epilogue phase, where the day is saved. The battle's done, and they kind of won, so we get to sign our victory cheer. So where do we go from here? We now get narration, like a year later, from Jan, talking about what became of everybody. So, guess which one of the... I'm going to give a bunch of things here, if chat wants to, chime in here. Guess which one of these is fake in terms of things that happened to everybody for a victory. Landcross becomes a planetary governor. The rescue team, they go back to Planet Micro. Great Shot, he does the drifter thing and goes back out to Parts Unknown. And Kakaryu becomes a theme park mascot. So, chat, what do you think is... Well, you know what? Spoiler? They're all real. That all happens. All those incidents happen there. Kakaryu full on becomes a theme park mascot. Like, just look at him hanging with those kids there. He's just having the time of his life. And the Dino Force goes into construction. So rather than destroying things, they're building things, which is like the most appropriate end for them. Yeah, it's a great end for them. And as for Starsaber, he is remembered for his yeah. Oh, what about the bad guys though? We need to get into what happened to the bad guys. Because yeah, like the villains, like Lio Kaiser was busy fighting Victory Leo while all this stuff was going down, like inside the while the Starsaber and Deathsaurus fight was going down. And Lio Kaiser got shoved into the main cannon of the fortress while it was charging, which then drained all of like. I suppose I should clarify here. Like the fortress got shut down, yeah. But when it got shut down, though, yeah, like the defenses got shut down. It did not shut down the primary weapon. It's like, say, if you had the Death Star, for instance, and you took out the shield generator on the Death Star and took out all the surface defenses of the Death Star, but it still has the super laser, so it's still dangerous. It's still a threat. So Deathsaurus had still been had still been using the cannon there, and Lio Kaiser got pushed right into the beam, and it killed him in the classic Optimus Prime way, where it just drained all of his energy. It left him as a dead gray husk, because the cannon was charging. It charged using Lio Kaiser's own energon as well, and then so he just ends up as a gray body, like think Optimus Prime's death, floating through space, completely dead. He dead. And Deathsaurus, meanwhile, Deathsaurus was a coward to the very end. He did the whole I'm going to just collision course my ship, and then he vented himself into space so that he wouldn't go down with his own ship. And the last we see of Deathsaurus is this: him just clutching his chest as he's bleeding out, ranting about how he is going to be back. He's going to be back stronger than ever. He vents himself into space, and the last we see is him just drifting through space, completely beat up, heavily injured, like this shot here. He's probably dead. It's very heavily implied, like that he just bled out and died. Like that's just he just did the whole coward's defeat type thing there of not willing to die and probably still died anyway. And we're going to remember Starsaber for his heroic sacrifice, except we're not going to do that because he didn't. Even though it looked like that Starsaber sacrificed himself, we get a last-minute fake out at the end of the episode there and a reveal that Starsaber didn't die. And that is Transformers Victory Episode 37. That is the end of the main story. Yes, going back to that, I did say there were 40. If you remember way back, I said there were 44 episodes of Victory. This is episode 40. This is episode 37. So, who remembers how Transformers Prime had all of those clip shows in season 2? Up until this point in Transformers Victory there, we have had 5 recap episodes over the course of the series. 5 clip show episodes that are just like narrations with clip shows summing up all the stuff that has happened before. Episode 38 then proceeds to be another clip show. It recaps the entire show in that clip show. And then we get 6 more episodes of clip shows. So, yeah, we have... What more do I have to say? Yeah, there are a lot of clip show episodes in Transformers Victory. They were very much padding out this series. And a lot of the home video releases don't even bother to include those last 6 episodes because again, they're just recapping the show that just aired. But yeah, don't worry. They'll never stop Transformers. Have no fears. We got stories for years like the Transformers Zona OVA. And then after that, that's the end of Japanese Transformers in animation in Japan. So for those of you who are interested in watching Transformers Victory, it has had a few Western releases over the years. Metrodome, they are a UK distributor. They did a DVD release back in 2006 in the UK. In 2008, Mad Men Entertainment did a release as well. They're an Australian company there. They did a DVD release. And this release had the infamous Omni Productions dub included with it. To give a bit of context there, Omni Productions, they were a company based in, I want to say they're based in Singapore. I can't remember, but they did do English dubs of all 3 Japanese Transformers shows. these dubs are rather infamous for not being very good dubs, to the point where they are generally not included in releases. Like, to be clear with the dubs, it's very much like a small dubbing company doing the best they could with what resources they had. It's just that the best that they could is not necessarily that great. Um, and then in 2012, Shout Factory did their own DVD release as well, and the subtitles in this release are rather infamous because, as I mentioned, there's a lot of names that they get wrong. There was a lot of cases where those names where they just straight up use different names than what is being spoken on screen. Like, I'm trying to remember what they called Blacker, because they renamed Blacker, for instance, entirely over the course of the series, probably because they didn't want a character who was named Blacker, and that was probably a Hasbro directive as well, to be clear. I'm not putting that on Shout. I believe Hasbro had a role in telling them to change all those names. I don't believe there's an official. Oh, they are Hong Kong. Okay, thank you for the context there, Ninja. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I know they've done a lot of dubs, yes, but yeah, but yeah, at least when I put this slideshow together, there wasn't an official way to stream Victory. I don't know if Tubi has gotten Victory in the meantime, or if it's. I think you can find all the episodes on YouTube though if you go looking. So an archive.org, obviously, you should be able to find everything there as well. So that's the show, but there's also the manga, as I mentioned already. Yeah, Masumi Kaneda, who created all the concepts there for Transformers Victory, he also wrote all the like for all the Japanese Transformers shows. There were also in a TV magazine. They also all had manga adaptations as well. And Kaneda wrote all of those adaptations too, and he also wrote the adaptation for Transformers Victory. And it's a bit more unique because of that, and that raises a lot of questions in terms of what the original intents were for Victory, because it is very different. While for Headmasters and Master Force, the manga is more or less just an abridged version of the events of the show, but for Victory, it still covers all the major beats of introducing the characters, but Victory plays out very, very differently in the manga relative to the TV show. Yeah. The manga ran for 10 chapters in TV Magazine, and it finally got an official translation from Viz in 2020. And it is a very, very, very different thing here. So we're going to go into that now. The first big difference is that, well, even though it's using the same characters and premise, on the left there, that is what Jan looks like in the manga. He looks completely different as a character design. Like, it's an entirely different character design. And they also changed the nature of Starsaber and Deathsaurus's rivalry as well. It's a bit more comical here. As you can see here, it instead goes back to when they were kids 500,000 years ago. It's just, that's the source of their rivalry there. It's just, Starsabers are really, really competitive there, and they just have been enemies since they were kids. Because apparently robots can be kids. Also, there was another major human character in the manga there that is the rival to Jan, and that would be Solon, because Starsaber has his own orphan, so why can't Deathsaurus have his own orphan too? So yeah, Deathsaurus adopted a human kid in this series, and Solon there, he makes him into a cyborg with his own armor. And eventually, Solon even becomes a school rival of Jan too. Like, Solon starts going to Jan's school as a school rival. And so it's a factional rival and a school rival. And eventually Solon even gets his own robot mech to pilot, King Solon, as seen right there. And it can even combine with Deathsaurus, like how Victory Leo combines with Starsaber. So Deathsaurus can then get his own upgraded form, Kingsaurus. This has never received a toy. And this is the awesome that is Kingsaurus. Someone needs to do a third-party King Solon, so that we can get this combined form for Deathsaurus here. Like, I'm just gonna go refill my drink again there. I'm gonna refill my drink, and I am going to leave this up here for a minute there. Well, I'm just again making a quick bathroom break, but just bask in the glory of Kingsaurus. Like, I am sad that we don't have a toy of this. All right, just refilling my drink here. And then, yeah, and then we will get into this. Actually boiling some more tea as well while we're at it. My water should almost be done reboiling now. But yeah, let's, yeah, it's almost done reboiling. I just need to top it off, and then we will keep going with this. It's nice being able to take a little bit more time to do these slideshows and not feel as rushed. All right, hold up. I'm just filling my teapot, and then then I will come back in, and I will keep going with this. And then I'll bring my water back into the room. So, anyway, King Saurus, as I mentioned, there is a manga exclusive upgraded form for Death Saurus, upgraded using the mech body of his son, King Solon. And now we get into the next big difference here in the Victory manga, which is Victory Leo. Victory Leo is not a rebuilt God Jinrai in the manga there for Victory. He is an entirely separate person there. And he is a robot who was actually enhanced by Jan's father with a Garunium alloy, which lets him combine with Starsaber. And Victory Leo has his own human partner, which is Patty, who is Jan's long-lost sister his older sister that he didn't know he had because, she was off with Victory Leo and his parents died, so there was no one to tell him that he had a sister. And yeah, and that's what she looks like. She's a Victory Leo cosplayer. Like, she wears Victory Leo armor. And again, I would love a toy of this. I would love a toy of this. Like, she is like the original, she's the original human former cosplayer. Like, she was doing this in 89. She was dressing up as like doing the whole like robot cosplay on a human in 89. And yeah, Victory Saber and King Saurus are even matches at this point, except that Patty's words reawaken a spark of humanity and love in Solon's heart. So their combination falters as a result. They lose their cohesion, and Death Saurus abandons his son because he's too human. He's like, you're too human for my tastes. Go with the, I'm ditching you, I don't have a son now, sort of thing there. So anyway, so Solon then joins up with Jan, Patty, and the Headmaster Juniors from Transformers Master Force, Cab and Shuda, and they form the Victories. And as the Victories, they're all cosplaying as different Brain Masters and Victory Leo. And they just act as like human power-up batteries in that classic Japanese, like the power of the power of children sort of thing there, like powering up the good guys. That classic element. Like, yeah, it's great. It's great. Someone needs to do these cosplays for a convention. Someone needs to get a group together and cosplay the Victories. I would love to see this. Anyway, the final story for the manga, again, is very different here. It plays out entirely differently. The fortress is still a part of this. The planetary fortress is still an element, but it's very different. Death Saurus still brings in his fortress while he's attacking Starsaber, but he leaves Leozak in charge, and in the manga, Leozak is much more of a Starscream. And he decides to turn the fortress on both Starsaber and Death Saurus, and kill them both in one fell swoop so that he can become the leader. And in retaliation for this, Death Saurus then fires back with his Living Metal Destroyer cannon and he cripples his own fortress, as you can see there. And Starsaber manages to defeat Leozak and save the day. And then Starsaber's like, all right, we beat the bad guys. Let's blow up their fortress. Let's destroy the enemy fortress. Let's blow up their super weapon. Let's stop them from ever being a threat again. Except then, as soon as he says he's going to do that, all the Decepticons surrender overnight. And it's then revealed why the Decepticons are protecting their fortress so badly. Because it's not just a super weapon. It's where their families live. Because, yeah, we now learn that the entire reason Death Saurus was stealing energy, he wasn't trying to turn his fortress into a massive super weapon and everything like that. That was not his main goal. His main goal was to feed everybody's families. Keep everybody safe. Keep them all powered with energy. Because all the Decepticons have wives and children. And we're introduced to Esmeralda, Death Saurus' wife, and Leozak's sister, Lyzak. among like a few like more notable NPCs. And as soon as this gets revealed, the war ends because no once Starsaber learns this, he loses any interest in fighting. It's just, oh no, you guys were doing all this for your families. Why are we even fighting? We should just call a truce and we should end the war. And oh hey, geez, yeah, I hate that I need to figure out why my mix 'em up isn't working, but yeah, so it ends the war, and it's happily ever after at this point. Hold up. Um, this was where I originally ended the TFCon presentation. And there was a lot more that I did want to touch in on here, and that's why we have this year, because it never ends. Because we still haven't talked about the second half of stuff, which is that all the stuff that came out in the 35 years after Victory aired that involved characters from Transformers Victory. Hold up. So that's it. I'm going to make a quick social media post there. Let's see here. And this is where the second half begins. I think the second half will probably be a lot faster too, because it's going to be a lot more of look at this slide, look at this slide, look at this slide. We're going to be looking at more like toy photos. All right, there we go. I'm just making another post here. There we go. All right, so let's get started here. And we're going to start by talking about like some of the Western toy releases here. Yeah, because some of these figures in Victory did come out in the West. For instance, the Micromasters here, the Rescue Patrol. As I mentioned before, they are entirely unchanged. The only difference is their names. Like the toys themselves are all the same. As I mentioned as well too, Dino King was a rework of Monstructor. And you can see there what the Western release looked like there. Very different colors, entirely different Pretender shells. I'm not sure which ones came first, but yeah, like yeah, very different shells. Honestly, I think Dino King has the cooler Pretender shells, though I don't dislike these ones. I touched on the Mega Pretender stuff earlier, but yeah. So Black Shadow and Blue Bacchus were retools of Thunderwing and Crossblades, who were double Pretenders that did get released in North America. They got new Pretender shells, but the inner robots are still the same. And Thunderwing, of course, like has his own very, very long history as a character that I'm not really going to touch on here. And now we get into the two really interesting releases of Victory characters. We have the Rescue Force. Yeah, this is the one this is the most fascinating one here of all of them. Because this goes back to the early 90s in over in Europe there. After like all the G1 stuff had died down in the US and and there was a whole transition period between G1 and G2 there. And the brand was kind of just rehashing stuff in the US at this point there. Over in Europe and in the UK, they were still releasing new molds. They were still bringing over toys from Japan here and there. They were releasing some newer Action Master figures there that like the Action Masters Elite, that sort of thing. And among those figures that got brought over to the UK, they brought over 4 of the Lyle Kaiser molds without the Brassmasters, with some new accessories, and they brought them over as the unnamed Rescue Force. Like when I say unnamed, I mean like the individual characters didn't have names. They just were like the Rescue Force. They just recolored the packaging art there from Lio Kaiser and did them all as these, like, I guess, quote unquote rescue vehicles, because apparently, like supersonic jets can be rescue vehicles. Kill Bison's guns, for instance, got replaced with those grapplers right there, because a tank doesn't make an anti-aircraft tank isn't really a very good rescue vehicle. um there's actually a couple of variants of these too. There's a variant that has gray weapons, and I believe the heads are differently painted as well too. They have slightly different paint jobs. I do know about this because like friend of mine has like documented all of this stuff himself as somebody who grew up in the UK and knows about these figures and has been hunting down different versions of them. But yeah, they never actually released the arms, and as such, that image on the right there, that's the closest you can get to combining these. You can't actually, there's no actual combine mode for any of these. There's no helmet for Lio Kaiser, but because of the all-in-one nature, and because of those grappling arms, you can sort of get some sort of combined mode. You can kind of fake it a bit, but yeah, they never released the jets. I've seen talk that it looks like that they probably were planning to put the jets out, but they never came out. And now comes the really weird one. Italy got Galaxy Shuttle. Yeah, it's not really clear how this happened or why this happened, but yeah, Italy got a full G1 release of Galaxy Shuttle as part of their Transformers toy line. It's the only Victory character that like came out in other markets there. They're like full English packaging too. Like it's kind of nuts. Like it even has the newer logo there for Transformers. There, it's using the like the late G1 logo for Transformers rather than like the the Japanese styled one. All right, I did touch on this as well too. That we did have as a sequel series, we got Transformers Zone. It both was a manga and an OVA. Both of them tell essentially the same story, and yeah, it was its own toy line. It had a bunch of figures in it, like including the new leader, Die Atlas. Oh, interesting. Yeah, thank you for the context there, Ninja. Thank you very much for the context. And for anyone, actually, I'm going to just do this here. For anyone who is curious about Transformers stuff, yeah, Ninjatron here, fantastic artist, and he's also done a number of panels himself over the years on various things with regards to G1 and localization in other countries. I still remember your panel that you did on Transformers localization in countries outside of the US and Japan, and that was like a really interesting panel. Like Italian Beast Wars opening. Italian Beast Wars opening is gold. But yeah, yeah, there's Victory characters that show up in Zone, but only in the sense that they're there to pass the torch to the new characters. You got to sell the new toys. So there's not really a lot that goes on in this there. But Zone does have the very cool visual of where the villain resurrects a whole bunch of classic like combiners and giant Decepticons and stuff, and gives them all capes and makes them his demon generals. There is a more direct successor though to Transformers there, though, because while Transformers did die as a brand in Japan at that point there, until they started importing things with Beast Wars and such. The direct successor was, sorry, hold up, I just lost window focus. Where's my window focus? The direct successor was, in fact, the Brave franchise. This was a partnership that they did with Sunrise for these stuff. As such, this is an IP that is not directly controlled by Hasbro or Takara, so that does limit their ability to do new things. I believe Bandai owns all the stuff there, because we have gotten remakes of a bunch of Brave characters, but it was Takara Tomy that did all the original toys for the Brave franchise. Well, Takara, I suppose it was at the time, but yeah, narratively, it very much is a successor to Victory, in that the shows have very similar narrative structures. You've got your tokusatsu style elements there where you've got like human kids who get involved with piloting robots or befriending robots or merging with robots or becoming robots, and everything and everyone combines into bigger robots. So you can see a lot of the roots of the Brave franchise in Transformers Victory. And also, Victory does what a lot of Super Sentai stuff does, and and just Tokusatsu in general, and has way less villain toys because, yeah, in Japan the villain toys it's very different than Transformers in that the villain toys never really sold nearly as well as the hero ones, so they just don't make them. So we got a lot less of those. But yeah, there's a lot of notable characters who show up over various Brave shows there. You have like Mike Gain, Jay Decker, Gold Goldran, Gao Gaigar. Like these are all characters that were all like part of the Brave franchise. So there is some direct connective tissue DNA to Transformers. Even more direct in certain cases too. Like for instance, Red Geist. Red Geist was just straight up a reuse of Deathsaurus's toy. There are no changes on the actual toy, but that's to the right. There is how Red Geist actually looked in the series that he showed up in there, and to the left there is the Deathsaurus animation model from Victory. So yeah, exact same toy, different colors. I don't think Red Geist came with Eagle Breast, if I remember properly from when I was doing my research. But yeah, just a completely different animation model. And it's not the only reuse of Victory characters there in Brave. There were other Transformers molds that got reused in Brave, but there's only one other notable Victory one that got reused. And that would be Thunder Dagwan, who is a heavy retool of Galaxy Shuttle. He is from 1996's Brave Command Dagwan. So yeah, like 6 years after Victory ended, they were still using these molds. Well, I think in Japan though it's a bit different. Like, keep in mind though, that Tokusatsu is, it's like you've got a lot more Monsters of the Week and stuff like that. Yeah, they've just never really done a lot of that stuff. Like, I don't think Transformers has always been much more of a niche brand in Japan as well to begin with. Like it was never as big as it was in the U.S. But yeah, I can't speak to Brave a lot because I'm not super familiar with it, but this is a cool looking retool though of Galaxy Shuttle. He even got retooled so that he had a motorcycle that could go into the back of the shuttle mode. So that's pretty cool there. Um, yeah, that's all the direct mold reuses, but there were also, and now we're going to start going into the 2000s, I suppose, when we started getting Hasbro starting to reference things back to Transformers Victory. In 2002, we got Armada Jetfire, who has been stated on the record by designer Aaron Archer as being a homage to Galaxy Shuttle in terms of his design. So yeah, that is the first instance there of recurrence of Transformers Victory stuff in Transformers stuff in the West. Yeah, it's a cool looking figure. It's not one I ever owned. He combines with the Optimus Prime of that toy line. And there's also, of course, in Transformers Armada, a much more notable name reuse from Victory, the Starsaber. This is the first instance of the Starsaber being used for a weapon rather than as a person. The Starsaber in Armada was 3 minicons that combined into a sword, which could be wielded by different characters, and was like a big, powerful MacGuffin. And there have been many, many more instances of the Starsaber as a weapon all throughout Transformers history as a result, including, like right now, you can go and buy a Prima Prime from the new Age of the Primes toy line, and he comes with a Starsaber. Just not the Starsaber of Transformers Victory. Moving on another year to 2004 with Transformers Energon. Well, I mean, you have the entire gimmick of Transformers Energon, which is the Multiforce right there. So there's a conceptual homage, I suppose. But they also created a new character, Victory Saber, who looks a little bit familiar. And that's because, well, they already used the name Starsaber. They didn't want to use the name again for something completely different. So instead he got renamed to Wing Saber. So they made a new homage to Starsaber there. He's a bit of a brick of a robot there because his entire point is he comes apart and he combines with Energon Optimus and looks cool doing that. And in this series, like for his backstory, he's a security guard named Wingdagger who gets killed by Shock Blast and then resurrected by Primus as the powerful warrior Wingsaber. Also in 2004, though, we got a new proper Star Saber toy over in Japan. Robot Masters was a toy line and just a whole media thing in Japan that went from 2004 2005. It got some comics. It got an OVA. The OVA is a really short watch. It's easy. It's a really quick watch to watch that thing. But yeah, it was very much making new toys of a whole bunch of classic characters throughout Transformers history, and reusing a few older ones too, actually. But stuff like they made new. That was our first new Generation 1 Seekers since the original 80s toy there, where they did like new Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp mold, with more modern articulation. Like they did a new Optimus Prime, a new like G2 style Megatron. Mirage got in there for some reason. Optimus Primal and Megatron got new toys, and so did Starsaber and Victory Leo. They did cut the Brainmaster gimmick from Starsaber, and the actual individual Saber form is very limited and basic on this. This figure is only about the size of a deluxe. It's not that big of a toy. But yeah, he still combines with Victory Leo. He's got more anime-style proportions. He looks really good. This toy goes for a lot. There was one in the TFCon dealer room last year in Toronto there, and it went for a decent amount of money from what I remember. They also did this repaint here too, a Black Victory Saber, which is evil repaint of Star Saber and Victory Leo. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous color scheme. By this point, the idea of evil black and purple color schemes had started to become a common thing that was recurring in Transformers. We had more and more black repaints at this point. And these colors are going to recur later on. Moving over to stuff other than toys for other media, we've got what were they doing over in comics? Well, we got this from Dreamwave. Dreamwave had the license for Transformers, and in 2005 they finally gave us this, a tease that they were going to be using some of the Japanese G1 characters, like Deathsaurus, as you have Megatron find ruins of ancestral Transformers, and hidden knowledge on Cybertron. And this whole issue teases a whole bunch of reveals that are about to come, and that we're going to learn about all these things. This was the last issue of the book because they lost the license, because Dreamwave went bankrupt. And that is an entire saga of its own, because there was so much mismanagement. But yeah, we got this whole epic tease and then nothing. We did continue to get more fiction involving Victory characters, though. Another entity that had a license to do Transformers media was Fun Publications. They were the ones who had the license to do the Transformers Collectors Club from 2005 to 2016, as well as the official Transformers convention BotCon. And this was back in the day. Again, like it's a very different time. A lot of this stuff. These days, when we get obscure characters and we get the more minor characters, it tends to be through things like Generation Selects or even some of these HasLabs. Back in the day, if you wanted those characters, it would need to be through a... Whoa, we're getting a raid! And my notifications still aren't working right. That sucks. I don't know why Mix It Up isn't working right. But thank you for the raid, Creepy. Thank you. Hello, Raiders. We are doing a... yeah, I don't know why those aren't working. But we are doing a slideshow presentation here all about Transformers Victory. We're into the second half now, where I'm talking about all of the stuff that came out after Transformers Victory. That's homaging characters from that stuff. And we are just about to go into talking about the Fun Publications releases. How was your stream, Creepy? I was watching a little bit earlier. How was Crisis Core? How was Crisis Core for you? Oh, nice. That's awesome. I've never played the game, so it's like that's pretty cool though. But yeah, like take whatever post-stream breaks you need, just for your own self-care and stuff, or just like chill back and just watch this presentation while you're doing that. Because yeah, like as I said, as I was just saying there, just to recap, Yeah, this is from the era there where if you wanted to get more obscure characters, Hasbro wasn't doing them. They were only being done via very expensive convention exclusives that cost about what Transformers cost us today, except back in 2005. Like that's how much prices have gone up. That convention exclusives back then cost what we're paying at retail now. God, how insane is that? How insane is that to think about? Yeah, no worries, no worries. Have a good one. But yeah, so moving on though, FunPub immediately started doing some stuff though with I just hid my window again there. Hold up. Immediately started doing some stuff there with BotCon 2005 with the Descent into Evil set there, which featured a brand new Deathsaurus figure there. He was a retool of the Robots in Disguise 2001 Car Robots Gigatron toy with a new head. They did omit the gargoyle mold because the new head wouldn't allow for it, for the gargoyle head to fit. But yeah, it is a new Deathsaurus inspired deco there. This was our first new Victory character toy in years and years and years. He still has all the other molds of the Armada one, and it's a nice looking figure here. The story for the convention comic featured Deathsaurus as somebody who was an evil Decepticon who was cloning Insecticons, and a bunch of people had to stop him. Yeah. This would recur again in over the Shattered Glass timeline stuff that Fun Publications did. They were the ones who originated the concept of a mirror universe with heroic Decepticons and evil Autobots and inversions. A lot of times changed color schemes. Like for instance, there we have their Deathsaurus in red Geist colors there, meant to symbolize the it's a good version of Deathsaurus. And then over there to the right, one thing that they did a lot of in Shattered Glass was that they did a lot of, we're going to take all of these obscure toys there or movie tie-in toys, and we're going to in random decos, and we're going to repurpose these as Shattered Glass versions of characters. So, for instance, here this Transformers 2007 repaint of Energon Skyblast got repurposed as Shattered Glass Starsaber in their own prose fiction. They did a lot of this sort of thing to pad out the toys. In 2009, though, for BotCon 2009, we got a new storyline, Wings of Honor, and we got a new toy of Leozak as part of that story. He is a re-deco of Energon Starscream. He looks really nice there. And in the comic themselves, they did reference the fact that he was a Japanese character by having him shout all of his attack names. Because as we all know... Oh yeah, no worries. No worries. Have a great dinner. Yeah, as we all know, all Japanese characters always shout their attack names. So obviously we need to make the Japanese character who never did that in the show he's from shout his attack names. Yeah, that's 2009 for you. It really didn't. I forgot about this until like I was researching this and then went, "Oh god, that's right. I remember reading about this back in 2009." God. But hey, it's a new Leozak toy though. So that's cool. The next year of the Transformers Collectors Club fiction, because they did have a comic associated with a magazine, because magazines were a thing that you could subscribe to online back then, and you would then get them in the mail, and it would be very pricey, like to subscribe to this Collectors Club and stuff, but you would get all this fiction. And the story that they did that year continued on from that Wings of Honor set there. Which was a story that was set in the Cybertron early in the war. And at that point in the story, they had Deathsaurus as the faction leader of the Decepticons, as well as reusing the Leozak toy for Deathsaurus's sister, for Leozak's sister Lyzak, to give her some representation in the story. By the end of the storyline, Deathsaurus incidentally got sidelined because the new Decepticon leader, Megatron, decided to show up and challenge him to a fight and beat Deathsaurus into submission, and as such took over the Decepticons. That was how they did that story in this continuity. Time for the quick aside here regarding Lyzak and answering some questions as to why we can't get a new Lyzak. We only found this out in the last few years because of Q&As with some of the Hasbro staff, but Hasbro and Takara do not actually own any of the manga exclusive characters. So they don't own Patty, they don't own Sullen, they don't own Gilthor from the earlier G1 comics, and they don't own Esmeralda and Lyzak. And as such, we can't actually get new toys of them. So from a legal standpoint, that last story probably shouldn't have actually been allowed to happen. It's just no one knew any better. I'm pretty sure that they only found out the legalities of all this stuff when they were localizing the manga back in 2020. It probably wasn't until then they realized, oh crap, we can't actually use these characters. We did get a little bit of victory stuff in Transformers Animated as well. Starsaber popped up in the background of an episode as a static bust, like just in the group of Cyber Ninjas in the episode 5 Servos of Doom from season 3. We almost got some other victory toys too. Robot Heroes was a line back in the 2000s, late 2000s there, that came out between 2007 2009. It was just doing a whole bunch of just cartoony versions, cartoony figurines of different Transformers characters, generally in versus packs. And this canceled Victory Saber versus Deathsaurus set was one we almost got. It made it as far as Walmart solicits and these photos, if memory serves, but the set never actually got released. This is as close as this one photos is as close as we got. So jumping back over to comics now, because comics are where we're going to see the most recurrence of victory stuff in the 2000s, in the 2010s. So IDW Publishing had the license from 2005 to 2022. And after a couple of creative shifts over the course of their run, eventually they started bringing in writers who started bringing in some of the Japanese-based characters. Most notable of which here would be James Roberts, who is best known for working on properties like Last Stand of the Wreckers, More Than Meets the Eye, and Lost Light. This was not without controversy, though, in terms of how they portrayed these characters, and I'm going to get into that now. So first of all, first character we had show up was Black Shadow. He originally showed up as a cameo in Last Stand of the Wreckers there. There was a concept in IDW that was pre-existing called Phase Sixers, which was that as part of the Decepticon war machine, they had a few guys who were living super weapons. And the idea was that once they had properly destabilized a planet, they would then send in this one-man war machine to just raise everything to ash, and then they would essentially just and then they would essentially just clean up what was left from the burning wreckage of the planet and take its energy, sort of thing. Which Black Shadow was an incredibly apt choice for, because that is straight up exactly how he was used in his original episode of Transformers Victory. So, a very apt choice, although I think his choice also had to do with the fact that in the original Phase 6 lineup, it was made up of Six-Shot, Overlord, and Black Shadow, so characters from all 3 Japanese Transformers shows. Black Shadow would then next show up in order to establish the bona fides of the Decepticon Justice Division, as we learned that he was true to his mercenary roots, sold out the Decepticons for money, and then got murdered because he was a traitor. So we got an issue that showed him being brutally killed, and that was like the next time we saw him. More controversial than this is how IDW used Starsaber. He showed up at the end of season 1, quote unquote, of the More Than Meets the Eye comic there, as an enforcer for the big bad of that storyline, Tyrest. And his depiction was not without controversy, because rather than being like a virtuous tokusatsu hero who is an embodiment of all that is good, he was a religious zealot who was the enforcer for a bad guy, and who straight up, like, yeah, you can see here the panel there where he is straight up murdering Die Atlas, an established good guy, as he tells him that God hates him. So yeah, it was a very different depiction of the character, and it was a controversial depiction, and it does actually there is some actual precedent for this, oddly enough, because this relates more to how Starsaber was portrayed in the 90s in UK fandom fiction. Because, yeah, in the early 90s, when Transformers was pretty much dead, a lot of UK fans managed to get into contact and started their own zines and did their own fan fiction and fan comics and stuff. All this stuff being done through the mail. This is all before email was like a email, and even like even just some of the early web boards and stuff were like ways for people to regularly interact. So people were doing all this stuff through the post. The UK James Roberts was a part of that early UK fandom, and as such, that probably shaped his depiction of Starsaber, because Starsaber was straight up portrayed as a fascist in those stories. It's UK fiction. What do you expect? They do a lot of dystopia stuff. Also showing up was Hellbat, who actually showed up before the rest of his team in the Transformers comics. He showed up in the Drift Empire of Stone miniseries as, well, as it turned out, the main antagonist of the series. He was working for the Decepticon Gigatron in that whole storyline as the second in command, but Hellbat, being true to Hellbat, was actually angling to make himself the leader and was the main threat of the actual story. Like, Gigatron was not actually the main bad guy. Hellbat was the main bad guy. And it's very in character for Hellbat. Like, he was backstabbing his own boss for power. Like, proper Hellbat. Deathsaurus himself would show up later on in More Than Meets the Eye during the Season 2 stuff, and his appearance here would be a bit less controversial, but it's still an interesting revamp of the character there. Because if you remember, I kept going on before about how Deathsaurus was the kind of guy who wouldn't lift a finger except to beat up his own men. He was constantly berating his own troops. He straight up treated the Dino Force as disposable fodder. So anyway, in More Than Meets the Eye, he was a rogue Decepticon warlord who split off from the main fighting force with his army because he didn't want his troops used as cannon fodder. Like, yeah, Deathsaurus in IDW was a guy who was a good boss to his troops and who valued his men, which is completely flying in face of his Transformers Victory portrayal. It's just kind of funny how it goes. Like, it's just a completely different take on the character. Incidentally as well, Deathsaurus also had this amazing redesign done by Alex Milne. Yeah, I can't speak enough to how Alex does a really good job of drawing Deathsaurus. Like, Alex is just a fantastic artist. And in that same issue and some other issues, we also got to see the other Destrons there. In that crowd scene, we got to see the Dino King, the Dino Force there. Death Cobra showed up in the background too, among the Breast Force there. In this case, Death Cobra was actually a recolor of the Senator Ratbat mold, which itself got reused as Serpentor. So there's an actual precedent of it being used for a serpent-based robot. King Solon even actually made a cameo in the background there, because again, this is before we knew any of the rights stuff, and Alex Milne loves putting details into comic panels. And Lyle Kaiser himself did show up in an issue of Lost Light. Although here's where you get interesting stuff with like lack of communication. So when we saw the Breast Force in More Than Meets the Eye, because Alex Milne actually is one of those artists who has too much attention to detail, he did not include Hellbat in the lineup and instead included a Death Cobra, so you could still get the full combiner. But no one communicated that detail there to the artist who drew Lost Light. And as such, as you can see, Lyle Kaiser there is depicted with Hellbat as his arm, even though it should be Death Cobra. Because at that point, Hellbat was like out of the picture. Jumping back over the toys for the 2010s, we got our first Victory homage in a surprising place, which was a retool of a new Thunderwing as the now renamed Sky Shadow. Because Black Shadow was originally a retool of the Thunderwing Pretender shell, they just went the same route and went, well, let's remake Thunderwing into Black Shadow. It's a really nice deluxe. It works really well. It doesn't have the inner robot, but it is a really nice toy. And funnily enough, they did not actually release this. Like at this point, Japan was doing their own concurrent releases of a lot of Hasbro stuff, just with their own decos. They released Thunderwing in Japan, who had no Japanese fiction, But Black Shadow did not actually get released over there, at least for now. I'm coming to that later. In 2012, who remembers Power Core Combiners? This was a gimmick there where Hasbro was experimenting with the idea of doing some sort of new combiner team. They all the Power Core Combiners had like a central robot there that was about deluxe sized or so, that then combined with 4 drones in order to form like a larger combined robot. When these got released in Japan in 2012, they all got released with very generic code names, like like Grimmaster here, who was a just a re-release of the Grimstone toy that came out in the U.S. But the associated e-hobby fiction that they did for these characters actually gave him a bit of backstory. It established that all these names were code names, and that Grimmaster was actually Kakuryu from Transformers Victory. The silly Triceratops who was like a constant screw up, who ended up becoming a theme park mascot. Eventually, he quit his job as a theme park mascot, and within the 10 years between the end of Transformers Victory and the start of this United EX story, he got rebuilt as his own man who had his own dinosaur team. So yeah, it's meant to be Kakaryu in fiction. It's kind of a neat little nod. Continuing on, we've got Kre-O. And this is one of the more random inclusions here because the Kre-O toy line was Hasbro going, we can make our own Lego line with Blackjack and hookers. And it didn't do particularly well as a toy line, but what did do a bit better and have a little bit of legs was the blind packed micro changers that they did, because everyone loves blind bag minifigures. And one of those blind bag minifigures was Drugar here, who had just randomly got included there as part of the group. Yeah, you can see there that he has all the kibble in order to be able to do his Dune Buggy alt mode there. And part of the reason I bring this up as well is that the designer who worked on all these Kre-O microchangers, who did all of these designs, was actually now a member of the Transformers design team, Evan Brooks, who has worked on all of the Transformers Victory HasLabs that they've done. He is a massive Japanese G1 fan, and he is probably part of the reason we get so much Japanese G1. All right, this one. In 2013, Takara Tomy was doing a collaboration over in Japan with the Super GT Racing Championship Series. And as part of that, they made a whole bunch of toys of various Transformers characters. And that included a retool of the Optimus Prime mold that they did for that as Starsaber. So it's got a new head, it's got a new deco. Visually, you can tell who it's supposed to be there. And all the cars in this series came with their own little Racing Queen figures there, known as the GT Sisters. The actual lore premise of this was that in this universe, instead of fighting, all of the various like Autobot and Decepticons there had decided instead to just engage in competitive racing. And what they did there is they gated off all of their Matrix energy and put it into sentient beings, the GT Sisters, who would then be able to recombine with the alternity bodies there if they ever needed their full strength. So yeah, so this character here, what's her name? I've got the name written here. Where is that? Yeah, Anna. This character here, Anna, she is wearing an outfit that is based on a real life race queen Hana Katayama. Hana Katayama. And she is the personification of Starsaber's matrix of leadership, I guess. So yeah, fun little nod. These are all actually Microman retools as well too. All the little GT sisters. And moving on though, to 2015, we get this beast. So what happened there in 2013? To celebrate the upcoming 30th anniversary, Takara Tomy did a fan poll for who the next masterpiece should be. And they put all of the Autobot and Maximo leaders in this poll. So Big Convoy, Lao Convoy, Fortress Maximus, all of these guys were options. And the winner ended up being Starsaber. Because Victory is very popular in the East. It still is. And we got a Masterpiece Starsaber toy out of that. He has all the gimmicks of the show. He's got the smaller Brainmaster, which looks really good there. Like that face is even painted. It then goes in. You can see that it has the whole Brainmaster gimmick. You put him in there. You close it up. And it's great too because when you it's the act of closing the door that actually pushes the head up on the face up on Saber and actually brings the whole gimmick to life. It's incredibly well engineered. And then of course you have the whole you have the full V Star and the combination with Star Saber. About the only thing this doesn't really have is the base mode. And I mean, no one really cares about the base mode though. Like the base mode wasn't on the toy. And they even put some pre-tooling there in the feet. In the feet, they actually did put some pieces in there just in case they ever did do a Victory Leo toy, just so that you would be able to make Victory Saber. Hasbro never actually did do Victory Leo themselves, but stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. 2015, Transformers Adventure was a toy line there that was the Japan version of the RAD 2014 toy line. They padded it out with a lot of other molds, and that included finally releasing Black Shadow in Japan. In 2016, with Combiner Wars, we got new combiners, and as a gift set, they did a homage to Lyle Kaiser from Transformers Victory with the Destron team. Yeah, you had a few renames there for the sake of probably just trying to pick more child-friendly names. So instead of Kill Bison, you get Iron Bison, and instead of Hellbat, you get Fellbat. And an interesting torso choice because instead of repainting Silverbolt into Leozak or something like that, like how everything is made of Silverbolt, instead of that, they actually took the Skylynx mold and they redid it as a homage to Deathsaurus, but with a Leozak teal. And they made that the torso and gave it a Lyle Kaiser head. Yeah, as a set, it was an Entertainment Earth exclusive. It was available very, very briefly. Like, when I say briefly, I mean for an afternoon on Walmart's website in Canada. That's how I got mine. And it came with a few Arms Micron figures there that were able to recreate the flail weapon to an extent. Moving on, further in 2016, we have Transformers Earth Wars. This is a mobile game that is still going to this day. It's not the only mobile game that Star Saber and other Victory characters showed up in. There were a couple of others here and there, but Earth Wars is probably the longest lasting one. I'm honestly still shocked that Earth Wars is still going, because they have done a lot of characters over the course of this game. They did Star Saber and Deathsaurus, and they eventually did Lyle Kaiser as a combiner there. And as you can see, they actually redid the torso for Lyle Kaiser. They did while Lyle Kaiser there is based off the Combiner Wars version, they replaced the Skylynx chest with a new chest that was based off of the BotCon Leozak there. So yeah, it looks really nice. They also did do when I say that they're still updating, like literally late last year, they actually added Dino King to the game. And I'm going to come back to that. We're going to be coming back to that later for a reason. 2017, we got this guy. We got a new Sky Shadow toy. And this was a really interesting choice for Titan's Return because it was very, very blatantly going to be retooled into Overlord from Transformers Master Force, who had never really been retooled from Sky Shadow before. But it's a big toy. This toy is probably it's got to be like 10, 11 inches, probably like 9, 10 inches tall or so, this figure. It's a big boy. Like Overlord, it transforms the same way as Overlord, where you have the jet making up the upper body and the tank making up the lower body. The jet has been retooled to resemble Black Shadow. And again, there was a lot of retooling on this jet. The jet is entirely new, actually, if memory serves. Like, it's just a whole new jet and then just reusing Overlord's tank lower body there. It's a really nice toy. And funnily enough, they never actually repainted this or retooled this in the Thunderwing. So it kind of stands on its own in that sense. It's a good toy. I've got it on my shelf right now. Also, we had the Transformers Legends release of Great Shot. So Transformers Legends was a Takara toy line there, and it was very much how they were releasing a lot of the Hasbro releases that were coming out at the time. They came up with their own new fiction there, where the Legends world was its own separate world from the G1 continuity. But as time went on, more and more characters from G1 started finding their way into the Legends world. And to give a little bit of context too, over in Japan, everything like all the G1 stuff, like Beast Wars is all in its own the same continuity there. So Headmasters, Master Force Victory, those are all the same. Zone, Battle Stars, Beast Wars, and Beast Machines are all in that continuity. Kiss Players falls into the same continuity. Kiss Players is set before season 3 of Transformers. What else do you have there? And then you have all the Legends stuff, which is also fits in canonically as well. And as such, a few Victory characters did actually pop up in the manga here and there too. They referenced Kaku-Ryu as well, like that new body for Kaku-Ryu that came up as well in the Legends manga. But yeah, we got this new Great Shot figure here, who was a retool of Six Shot. And most significantly, the manga actually finally canonized the thing that I hinted at there, in that it established definitively as Japanese Transformers canon that this is by Hayata Sakamoto, who drew all this stuff and is a massive fan. He knows, like, that man knows like more about Japanese continuity probably than most everyone, but maybe even Chris McFeely. But yeah, like they full on canonized that Great Shot was in fact Six Shot rebuilt into a new body. So essentially a witness protection program Six Shot. This figure goes for a lot of money on the aftermarket. It's a good toy. This is a really good figure. It's a really good retool. They gave him a new head. They gave him a new chest. They gave him the Rhino head for his six changer mode. If you can get this toy, it's fantastic. It's really nice. But yeah, this was a more limited release. This figure here, it goes for a lot now. And in the vein of how we talked about stuff we almost got, for Power of the Primes, we almost got some Transformers Victory stuff. Hasbro was doing a lot of fan votes at this point here. And for Power of the Primes, they did a fan vote for who the next Matrix bearer should be. And the idea was that they were going to make this guy as a toy. Starsaber was part of the eligible votes. And this unknown evil character that was very obviously Deathsaurus in silhouette was the other wild card choice there. Neither one of them ended up winning. All of them did make it to the finalist vote. But in the end, it was Optimus Primal who won the vote, and we got that Optimal Optimus toy because of that. It's a fun little footnote. Moving on to 2019. At this point, IDW rebooted their G1 continuity, started completely fresh with a new story by Brian Ruckley, and they did a spin-off book, Transformers Galaxies, which told side stories in this universe. Deathsaurus had a surprisingly large role in this continuity. He first showed up in the Transformers Galaxy storyline that they had, which featured Cliffjumper. In this story, which was set before the war, he was Cliffjumper's boss. He was an ambassador to a planet full of organics, and he was an evil ambassador. And he started quietly killing the locals because he was able to feed off of them. And Cliffjumper had to stop him, and Cliffjumper ended up putting him in a coma. And then he stayed in that coma this whole story was set like in the past. And he stayed into a coma up until present day in the main book, where his body got possessed by an evil multi-body entity known as X-Archon, who then proceeded to use Deathsaurus' body as his main body in the pursuit of conquering all of Cybertron. Starsaber also did very briefly cameo in one of the comics here too, but it was literally just like his face was on a page. Also by IDW in 2020 was a new G1 comic there, Transformers 84. This comic was set in the original Marvel Universe continuity, and it was filling in the gaps between when the Ark crashed on Earth in 4 million years ago and now. It's also notably some of the only punch-counterpunch fiction that we've gotten there. He has remarkably little fiction outside of his very brief appearance in The Rebirth and his appearances in the Headmasters cartoon. But yeah, in issue 3, Starsaber and Deathsaurus show up as faction leaders on Cybertron, and they fight, and that's kind of their main appearance. Incidentally, here the art of Starsaber and Deathsaurus was drawn by Guido Guidi, who would go on to do the box art for the HasLabs of Starsaber and Deathsaurus. He's very well known for doing a lot of like Transformers box art. And until we talk about the HasLabs, we're going to skip back for a minute here, and we are going to talk about third-party toys. I'm just going to go refill my drink for a sec. Now's a good point. To take a quick break. We've only got we don't have that many more slides left. We're most of the way through the presentation, but I'm just going to go take a quick bathroom break. So everyone get up, stretch. We will be right back in a minute. I'm going to get some fresh pot of tea. All right, we're just coming back. I'm just going to pour some tea, and then we will be right back. And I'm going to finish up the slideshow. We don't have much more to talk about, just like third-party stuff and HasLab stuff. So it's going to go pretty quickly. And I didn't want to include third-party in this presentation because, quite frankly, there's some really, really cool third-party releases that we've gotten. I'm going to have to give some context on the concept of third-party, though. So just bear with me for a minute there. We're going to do that as well. Let me just finish filling up my tea, and then we will be back. All right, there, got some tea. So, third party. Let's talk third party here. So, for people who aren't familiar with Transformers, I'm going to give a bit of context here, just in case. So there's a really weird thing in the Transformers fandom here. This whole phenomenon there of unlicensed transforming robots there that has been going on since I think the first major release for third-party stuff was 2008, 2009, I think. But this has been a constant part in the fandom to the point where you will have all of these figures of various Transformers characters there in varying scales, from pocket scales to masterpiece scales to like 4-foot tall Metroplexes. That is a thing that came out, that actually did come out last year. Someone made a 4-foot tall Metroplex. God. And these are not one-off customs. These are full-on produced in factories, largely in China. And they are sold in packaging with instruction manuals and quality control inspection checks and all this stuff here. And there were a number of Transformers Victory references that have been done over the years from... and there's some really cool ones too. I own several of these. Not all of them, but I do own several. And there's some really cool releases that have come out over the years. So yeah, we're gonna go through all this stuff now. So we're gonna start here with TFC Toys. TFC Toys, they first got known for doing a Devastator figure there. They were the ones who kind of brought back the idea of doing like full new Combiner toys. Like third party was doing this like several years before Combiner Wars came out, and they kind of showed that. I think that they kind of showed Hasbro that there was a viable market for selling Combiners again. Because yeah, eventually TFC Toys did Liokaiser. They did their own take on Liokaiser here. Still a 6-man team with their own like take on the designs there. Like it's a very unique take. They still have their Breastmasters. They still have the 6-man combination with everything where you would expect it to be, with visuals generally what you would expect. It's a nice looking figure. That said, as I understand it, this figure does not have the best stability in combined mode. It did get like this originally came out in 2016, and it did get a re-release a few years ago. But it says a lot that when they did the re-release, they actually included an upgrade kit with the re-release just to try and address some of the stability stuff. Like I've seen it constantly come up in the threads there for the HasLab Liokaiser. There's people who have gone, why would I buy this? I can buy the TFC one instead. The TFC Toys one looks way better. It does it way better. And then what'll happen is someone who owns the TFC one will chime in and go, you know, you're wrong actually, because I own the toy and the toy is not actually a very good combiner. So yeah. TFC also did the Trinity Force. They did a new Road Caesar. So they did all three Brainmasters there as a new, and this came out in 2018. Again, it's got all the gimmicks and it's got all the gimmicks intact. Moving on to Fans Project here, we have like one of my favorites here. Fans Project did their own Dino King. Saurus Ryuo is how it was released. These did come out like originally they came out as separately boxed releases for all 6 of them. They did do a gift set in Monstructor colors, like after they released all 6, and they did do a gift set of all 6 of them in Dino King as Dino King a few years ago too. So you can still find these out there. They're very nice toys. They're pretty cool depictions. They're all about the size of a deluxe, so they're a good size. But yeah, the combined mode is really nice. I used to have these guys on display. I haven't in years. I just don't have the space for them right now, but they're really nice toys. And going back, and you remember how I mentioned Earth Wars and how I was going to talk about that a bit? Well, I found this when I was doing research. So Earth Wars as a game, Earth Wars has a history of sometimes ripping off third-party designs for characters there and just using them in their own game. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, what are they going to do? Sue us? Because if they sued us, well, they're already like using like doing heavy copyright infringement themselves. So it's not like they can actually do anything about it. Like case in point, like in Earth Wars, just to give context, like most infamously, the design of Predaking that they did in Earth Wars is just straight up the Mastermind Creations third-party Predaking toy. Like they just straight up, like it's very obvious when you look at those designs that they just straight up used that version for Predaking. And you can see here that yeah, they just added Dino King late last year, and probably because Hasbro did their new Dino King toy. And you can see here that rather than reference the Hasbro toy, they instead just like wholesale like used the Fans Project design here. Like it's got all the hallmarks of the Fans Project design, like a lot of the unique touches there that figure has. It's unmistakably ripping that off, and it's like, oh my god. It's just funny how circular things can get sometimes. All right. The other thing Fans Project did, though, and this is what I loved about this set, was they did the full set of Pretender shells. These were sold separately. They were all cast in vinyl, so they're very big boxes. They were very pricey when they came out. Like each shell was like, I think when they released, they were like around like close to 100 US for each Pretender shell. So it cost a pretty penny to get all of these. Yeah, I have all of these. By the end, they were getting harder and harder to get. By the end, because they did not sell well at all. I'm pretty sure that they took a bath on these because by the end they were clearancing these things at half off. At one point, I actually did buy because I needed the last 2 Pretender shells. It was cheaper for me. It was just as cheap, I think, there for me to buy all 6 on deep clearance, like for like 200 US or so to get all 6 Pretender shells, than it was to buy the last 2 individually. Like, and then I just had to flip the first 4 because I already had them. But yeah, it's also the first time that you can actually have the Dino Force riding their Pretender shells, and they look really good together when they're doing that. Like, oh, this set is fantastic. I am sad I do not have shelf space to display these guys like this because I had them displayed like this for years. I had them displayed just yeah, I had them displayed just all like riding their dinosaur shells because that's how you display them. And also the shells can all double as piggy banks as well. They all have slots on the top there so you can use them as piggy banks. Planet X, they're another third-party company. They're most famous for having done War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron designs and turned them into toys. They've done a lot of really cool stuff over the years. And one of the ones they did here, they did a few victory characters, starting with Deathsaurus. Deathsaurus here is based off of his IDW Comics appearance rather than the G1 toy. It looks really, really nice. An added touch that they did to this design here was adding as those removable swords there as wing inserts. just to beef out that dragon mode a little bit more. It looks really, really good. I've not messed with this figure, but I've heard good things. Planet X does good work. I've owned a few of their toys. This was not the only one that they did here. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have touched on this first. Let me just skip ahead to a slide here. Hold up. I'll jump back in a sec. They also did this Star Saber as well. This was again based off the IDW Comics design for Star Saber. It looks really nice. Like the saber is a little bit more limited. It's a bit more of an afterthought, as you can see there. Like the actual saber mode doesn't have the Brainmaster or anything like that. It's more there just to keep the gimmick intact of having like saber turn into the chest. But it does look really nice. It's a very nice looking jet there. And this guy you can still buy. I think you can still buy this guy as well. He originally came out in 2019 and he has gotten re-released since then. Planet X also did this here too. They did a Victory Leo to go with their Star Saber because of course you've gotta. The Victory Leo here is their own original design because there was no IDW Victory Leo. And here's how he looks combined with Star Saber right here as Victory Saber. Looks really nice there. You can see they changed how the wing pack works there. They just added it as a bit more shoulder armor too. It looks really nice. They also did all of these guys in evil colors as well too, in the black and purple that you saw on the Robot Masters deco. Like, yeah, they look really nice. This looks really nice. Yeah, I'm gonna step back for a minute now because there is a thing I skipped over by accident there. And that is, remember how when I mentioned that they built on into the Masterpiece Star Saber combiner functionality? Well, Hasbro didn't do it, but KFC, Keith's Fantasy Club, that stands for. They've had a lot of fun with that acronym over the years, but they made their own release of Victory Leo there that combines with the official Masterpiece Star Saber. So yeah, it's got that. It's a Masterpiece scaled Victory Leo. It looks pretty cool there. KFC stuff is all right. I've had some of their stuff before. Their stuff is okay. Yeah, like as I said, it combines with Star Saber, and you can get the whole Victory Saber combination there. You can do both the combined jet mode, and you can do the whole Victory Saber combination. Like the ports there for combining the feet, as I said, there's stuff already built into Victory Saber's feet that they were able to take advantage of. Sorry, into Star Saber's feet that they were able to use for the boots. They are really tall boots here, mind you, and that's just a consequence of just mass. Because yeah, these guys, if you want them the same size, considering how the boot transformation is just like the whole lower half split in half, like you're gonna end up with these really weird, wonky foot proportions because of that. That's just the way it goes. All right, so let me jump back ahead, and we're gonna talk about Mastermind Creations now. Because they did their own take on Deathsaurus as well, based on the IDW design. He is really cool. This one was in the works for years. It went through a few different iterations, and it finally did come out in 2022. It's based off the IDW appearance there. This release only came with Tiger Breast as well, because in IDW, Deathsaurus did not have a Tiger Breast. It's a really nice. Sorry, did not have Eagle Breast. He just had Tiger Breast on his chest. It's a really nice looking figure. It's got a good kaiju vibe to it. Good Space Dragon kaiju vibe. I've got this one. Fantastic toy. I can't speak. I have a hard time speaking more highly of it. It's just very, very well made. I love Mastermind Creation stuff. They also did a G1 version of it though too, where they changed out the wings, they changed out the head, they changed out the beast mode head, and they just made it overall like just much more of a space chicken that was accurate to the victory animation. Yeah, it also comes with Eagle Breast in this mode as well. He actually did just get a re-release too for Year of the Dragon to commemorate that. He got a re-release with new colors. I believe he got darker blues as a result of that, if I'm remembering right. But yeah, like just to give him more toy accurate colors. It's a really nice toy. Again, I can't stress how good this toy is strongly enough. Like, I would highly recommend picking up this figure. It's very good. It's very big too. Like, this guy is he's not quite masterpiece scale, but he is a very tall toy all the same. Yeah, and I'm not including them in here, but like the Tiger Breast and Eagle Breast actually did get some redecos as well too. They did some Yope as more like chase items there. They had a 2-pack as a TFCon exclusive in clear or in yeah, it was clear orange the TFCon ones, and then they did clear blue as like just incentive releases. Moving on, Iron Factory. Now these guys, I've actually opened these up on stream myself there. If people remember there, um, they did their own Lyo Kaiser. It's a nice figure. It's about 10 inches tall or so when combined. I have the streams like I do have the VODs for the streams where I opened these up and combined them all on my Twitch channel there. It's a couple of streams. It's a very nice looking combiner. They're very solid figures. Iron Factory does pocket scale stuff. They do very good work. They have all the Breastmasters. They also did the nice little added touch as well of while the Breastmasters are able to do the weapon and the chest mode as well as the animal mode, they also included like fake weapons and chests that don't transform, but that are more animation accurate. So yeah, so you're able to like have all three with them. It's really nice. This combiner is fantastic. The only thing I will say about it is that it uses well, if you remember, I mentioned how the original Lyo Kaiser just had the head as an extra part. This guy here, for extra parts, the waist, the thighs, the shins, the what else? The forearms and the head and the torso block actually are all like add-on parts that you have to slot the existing guys into. So like half the mass of this combined mode is not actually part of the individual figures, which is part of the reason why it looks as good as it does, because it doesn't have to worry about doing any sort of cheats or anything like that, or like doing any compromises to make it work. It looks really good. It like literally, it is like right next to me on my desk right now. I'm just staring at it right now. It's a fantastic toy. They're also doing this though. They're doing a Death Cobra toy. This is going to be it should be out in the next couple of months. It has not yet been released, but when this does come out, it is going to be the first ever. It's going to be the first ever toy of Death Cobra to be released. Yeah, he turns into a helicopter like the original. He does replace Hellbat's arm as well too, so you can use him on the whole Lyo Kaiser combination. They do have a combined mode as well with all 7 guys too, where I believe Hellbat is on the back. All right. We're almost done with the third-party stuff. Next up we have X Transbots here. This is not out yet. It is coming out later, but they are doing their own take on Deathsaurus here. It's a masterpiece scale there. You can see it there. It's combined with a third-party Victory Leo there. And yeah, and it's going to be a much more G1 styled masterpiece scale figure there. It looks all right there. X Transbots does good work. Yeah. And we have one last little note on the third party stuff, which is just like a little fascinating random thing. So, this one here, a few years ago, Mastermind Creations did this figure here that was for their Infinity line, that was a essentially a female Tarn there. Like it turned into a tank. It was Tarn from the More Than Meets the Eye comics there. But where it gets really interesting is the face they put underneath this figure there, because head sculpt wise, it's straight up Esmeralda from the Victory comics. So technically speaking, we do have an Esmeralda figure now. It's just not the figure we were expecting. But they also built into their own fiction for this character the idea that like she can change her bodies and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's kind of a neat little nod. It was a fun little Easter egg to give it Esmeralda's head. And all in all, this toy is a really good toy though too. Like again, Mastermind Creations, I love their stuff. I will probably keep buying their stuff for like the foreseeable future. They've got releases coming out I'm really excited for. But yeah, it's like a fun little nod. And before we get into the more modern stuff, for Legacy there, a couple of official third-party things there. These are licensed. Flame Toys. Flame Toys is known for their non-transforming figures. They do a lot of model kits. They do some higher-end, expensive collector-grade figures there with like some die-cast and some crazy articulation to them. Anyway, they did their own Star Saber based off of the Alex Milne More Than Meets the Eye design. And then they did their own Victory. That came out back in 2019, that Star Saber. And in 2020, they followed up Star Saber with their own take on Victory Leo. In Victory Leo's case, there was no pre-existing design. They just did a Victory Leo. And the thing with Victory Leo, though, is he could come apart and form Victory Saber armor. And honestly, it looks incredible. Like, just the way that they did this combination there. Like, oh man, they went to town on their redesign there. Like, I love even the Gao Gaigar style lion chest that he has here. Just that, like, it just adds so much to this Victory Saber design there. It's just such a strong silhouette here. It just looks so good. And they did the black version too. Like, I mean, oh my god, this thing is like several $100s to buy these, but like, they're not cheap toys, but, and they don't transform, but like, these look amazing on a shelf. This was a limited run that they did in 2021 for the purple colored ones, incidentally. And with that said, we're getting into the final part of this, Transformers Legacy. This is the toy line that just ended at the beginning of this year. It was a 3-year toy line of remakes of past Transformers characters that Hasbro's done over the years. And a number of Transformers Victory characters got released under the Legacy banner throughout the line. And in fact, we've actually got we got a number of them. Like, we've almost got the whole Destron main cast at this point. Stepping back for a minute, though, shortly before Legacy was the previous War for Cybertron toy line, in which in 2019 we got these two figures in the War for Cybertron trilogy from the Autobot Rescue Patrol. So we got new figures of Stakeout and Red Hot, who, if you remember earlier, I mentioned were the same toys as Holly and Fire. So yeah, we kind of got like our own Holly and Fire toys at this point. They did not do the other Rescue Patrol members at this time. And then in 2021, we got the reveal that the next HasLab after Unicron was going to be Victory Saber. It was a brand new figure. This is scaled for the rest of the Generations releases, and it was a 2-pack of both Star Saber and Victory Leo, still capable of combining. It's got all the features of the original toy. It has the Brainmaster. It has the whole Brain of Courage gimmick there. It's not spring-loaded on this one like the Masterpiece, but it still has the gimmick. It's got the smaller jet. It's got the Saber robot mode. It's got the V-Star, which can become a base. It's got, it can combine with the full Star Saber body as well too. This figure needed 11,000 backers to get made. By the end, they reached 27,000 backers for this toy here. Once Japan got in, it became like clear that this was a done deal as a figure. All the stretch goals got unlocked over the course of the crowdfund there. As stretch goals, we had the V-Lock cannon. We had the shield there, which the shield was something he never actually used in the show, but the Masterpiece came with it, and it was used in promotional art for Victory. And it looks really good. The shield looks fantastic. I've got mine with the shield there. So, and then it also came with a stand it came with a bunch of blast effects, as you can see there, and another stretch goal there was a stand that he could use in both alt mode and vehicle mode, as you see there. He's a cool figure. And there's some shots of Victory Leo there. They did make Victory Leo a little smaller, so as a result, he does scale a little better in Victory Saber mode, even though he is shorter than he is in the cartoon. It's a nice Victory Leo. He has the fakey spaceship mode there, which is kind of like a very questionable spaceship. You have that whole combined mode there where you got like the whole thing stretched out for the giant jet. Like, this is a really good toy. I can't speak highly enough of this toy. It's a good toy. It's this whole set is really, really nice. And also, what they threw in near the end as well too was they redecoed those. They redecoed the Stakeout and Red Hot Micromasters there in proper Holly and Fire colors. So this is the first time that Holly ever got a toy that was representative of what Holly actually looked like in the show. These are really, really well done paint jobs. I've got them up on my shelf right now. They're really, really nice. And coming out just in time to go with Star Saber, we got this guy in. We got Galaxy Shuttle. He is a retool of the Siege and Legacy Astro Train mold there with a new head and just a new paint job, just a homage Galaxy Shuttle from Victory. He came out in the Walmart exclusive Velocitron toy line at the end of 2022 and at the beginning of 2023. And interestingly, there's a little bit of a story we know about how he came out there. Galaxy Shuttle exists because back when they did the original mold, the designer John Warden, he happened to mention to like Mark Mayer, who is the current like brand lead on Transformers. He mentioned in passing that they stuck a Galaxy Shuttle's head on the mold. It's a standard operating practice for Transformers for the last decade or so to go and add in extra heads on the tooling there, just in case they ever reuse the molds and want to do them as new characters. And they put Galaxy Shuttle's head on Astro Train. And years later, after this conversation, Mark remembered this note and proceeded to go and dig it up, confirm that yes, they had Galaxy Shuttle's head, and then they made a new Galaxy Shuttle that was out about the right time as Star Saber. It's a really nice deco on this toy. The biggest negative with it was that it was almost impossible to find in the US because Walmart cut back the capsule line and all of them ended up going to Canada instead. So he was really easy to find in Canada. Like I was going to stores and seeing like 2 or 3 on the shelf at a time, like at multiple Walmarts in town. And I actually back in 2023, I actually ended up like muling. I think I muled like 8 or 9 of those like over the course of the year for Americans. Like I bought a lot of Galaxy Shuttles and just muled them at cost, but because I was doing, like my suitcase going down the TFCon LA in 2023 was pretty much like 60-70% Galaxy Shuttles. Like I had a lot of Galaxy Shuttles in there. But yeah, like, and he's actually much easier to get now though because they did just re-release him as part of the Transformers Legacy line for the Final Wave. The Final Wave has a whole bunch of figures in it that were originally Walmart exclusives, and the exclusivity has since lapsed, and they're able to re-release them now. So yeah, you can buy Galaxy Shuttle right now. Yeah, he's nice. And hot on the heels of Star Saber, of course, was the HasLab for Deathsaurus. He got announced while we were all still waiting to get our Star Sabers, and he sold even better than Star Saber did. He needed 11,000 backers like Star Saber did, and ended with over 27,000 backers. He came with both Breastmasters. He had stretch goals to recreate a whole bunch of his moments in the show there, like he had a weapon pack, for instance, to give him his flail and his living metal destroying cannon. And and the second stretch goal, of course, was the most important thing, which was his throne. He came with a stand, but also his throne. The throne can hold all the weapons. You can store all the weapons on the back. It's very clean. He looks really good sitting in his throne. That's how I have him displayed right now. He's just sitting in his throne menacingly on my shelf. Like, why would you display him any other way? It's just kind of funny that I love that they did this. It's a really nice throne. Like, this figure is really, really good. You can actually watch the VOD on my stream there. I did unbox that back on stream back in I guess that would have been late 2023 there when I got it. So yeah, it's a really, really nice toy. No, sorry. Yeah, late 2023. Yeah. Yeah, like it's a really nice toy. So yeah, very good. And as a little extra at the very end of the crowdfund, after he got backed, they announced that, oh, hey, we're also going to make new toys of People and Boater and throw those in too. So we have all 4 of the Rescue Patrol Micromasters now. It's pretty cool there. I've got all 4 of them on my display there. They're all. I'm just looking back over at my shelf. They're all like standing like next to Galaxy Shuttle right now. They look really good. These are like really nice. They're really well done. Also, there's a bit of preamble for this one here. So back in 2023, as part of Legacy, Hasbro started doing core class versions of the Dinobots to fill out their smaller, what was it, like, their $10 price point or whatever there. And they were doing a whole team of Dinobots that also combined. It was going to be a team of 6 Dinobots, and people started noticing very suspiciously with the first 2 when they came out that Oh, hey, the chest is rather than using say like Grimlock for the chest or something, they had a Triceratops for the chest, and they had a what you call it a is it a Brontosaur, I guess, there as the lower torso there. And it was a 6-man team instead of a 5-man team like the Dinobots are. And everyone went, wait a minute, those are the exact same positions as the Dino Force members on the original Dino King combiner. They're totally doing Dino King, aren't they? And then they announced Grimlock there. And when it was clear Grimlock was a leg in the exact same position as Goryu, it was like, oh yeah, they're making Dino King. And to the point where the Hasbro actually soft confirmed it themselves in a stream, where Evan Brooks, one of the designers there who's worked on a lot of the stuff, was like, yeah, you guys all know what this is. You guys all know what this is going to be. So yeah, that leads to this past year there, where as a PulseCon exclusive, Hasbro did a legacy version of Dino King. They took all those Dinobot molds, they gave them new heads, so tiny little heads. These heads are puny, seriously. Like they're like maybe like they're like a couple of centimeters tall, but they're very accurate head sculpts at a couple centimeters tall. They added a bunch of new parts as well too, new forearms, new feet, a whole bunch of weapons that can combine to form Dino King's weaponry. So he can have his giant sword, he can have his gun. The only real difference really is that they have actual dinosaur alt modes instead of pretender shells and monster modes. The box even was like a really nice presentation. It was a recreation of the original box. Like, these guys are really nice. I really like these toys. Again, you can find the VOD on my stream for opening these. It's a really good set. This was available last year as part of Hasbro's online PulseCon event there. It was an online exclusive, and they are very nice set. And with that said, we're getting into the very end of this here. So let's talk Liokaiser. Let's talk about Liokaiser in a little bit more detail. This is the crowdfund that closes tomorrow night. It was the incentive for me redoing this presentation here. And this is the part of the presentation where I blatantly shill for a toy that I have no financial stake in. So let me be clear here, this is absolutely not product placement. This is not a paid ad. This is me just trying to get people to buy a toy that looks really cool. Because, hey, the more Liokaisers that I introduce into the ecosystem, the better. Because the way these HasLab figures work is they are made to order. They will only make as many as there are orders for the actual HasLab. And they'll make some extras as well too for things like replacements or probably promotional stuff and everything like that. But these are not going to be released through retail channels. So right now, your only chance to get one is either to back it now or pick one up on the aftermarket later. And as such, I want to point out that there is no such thing as scalping for a HasLab figure because no one is the whole thing with toy scalping there with like buying things up off a shelf and then reselling them at a higher price is that that's something where people are introducing scarcity. Here, anyone who is buying extras to resell is doing the opposite. They are in fact the reason that you can buy with this guy on the aftermarket. Anyone who is like doing an upsell, they're the ones who've taken all the financial risk of paying full price for this guy. So if you're paying more for this figure, it will probably, after Monday, there's probably good odds that'll be like at least by the time it comes out, it'll be like another $100 or so on top of what you paid, if not more. Like Star Saber and Death Source, they didn't jump up super high on the aftermarket, but you're still going to pay probably like 1.5 times the cost of the original toys if you want to buy them now. Like I did just resell my extra Victory Saber earlier, late last year. And I have an extra Death Source that I need to flip as well too at some point. So you can. We don't have any painted prototype images of these guys yet either, just digital renders. They're still working on these. They're still actively making tweaks. And also of note here is the names. They actually did retain almost all the names, unlike that last Combiner Wars release. The only exception here is Hellbat, who got named Elbat. I guess he's French now. But there is oh, hey! Hello, Professor Doc. Hello. thank you all for the raid. Hello, everybody. It's me. It's General Techno, and we are talking. We are doing a presentation on Transformers Victory today, and we're actually reaching the tail end of this. We're reaching the point where I shill for a Hasbro product that is currently up for order, and that whose pre-order ends tomorrow night. So you're at a good time here. I'm just ranting about the HasLab Lyokaiser right now, and just doing the sell on that because people should buy it because it looks really cool. But yeah, so Lyokaiser there, again, it's a 6-man combiner there from Transformers Victory. And as I said, they retained almost all of the names. The only name they didn't retain was Hellbat. And there's a reason for that, and that's because Hasbro Legal is playing it safe. Because this is also on the market right now. Like this has been stated as this is the reason why he is not called Hellbat in this set. It is because McFarlane currently has this Hellbat Armor Batman toy on the market, and they don't want to risk picking a fight with like Warner Brothers' legal department right now, like for trademarks and copyrights and stuff. So that is the reason why it is not any sort of like a puritanism or anything like that. Anyway, though, this figure has a number of stretch goals with it, and the first one is one that made me eat crow when it got revealed. Because we're getting a Death Cobra! Oh my god, we're getting a Death Cobra, yes! I am still super psyched about this. I am very psyched about the fact we're getting a Death Cobra. But just to add some context, like, once we started getting the rumors that we were going to be getting Lyokaiser as part of this crowdfund, like, I was actively going on social media, on websites and Discord servers. I was actively making these remarks. There are receipts. I can probably dig up the receipts, but there are very much public receipts of me on Blue Sky saying, do not actually, don't expect to get Death Cobra as part of this crowdfund. There is no way Hasbro is actually going to give us Death Cobra. Sorry, I'm just looking up Blue Sky receipts right now. Because I know I have receipts. Oh, yes. Here we go. Here's my receipts here. Yes, this is from a month ago, where I straight up said, I'm preemptively I am quoting myself here. I'm calling myself out. Because I straight up said, and I quote, I'm preemptively sighing because if the HasLab ends up being Lyokaiser, there's going to be a loud contingent whining when they don't include Death Cobra in the set. And while I'd love a Death Cobra toy, I'm also a realist who will point out his screen time was 2 scenes and he never actually combined. That being said, I also fully expect Mark and Evan have already been planning a Vortex retool or something for release, to release the Death Cobra as a Pulse exclusive in 2026 to go with Lyokaiser. That being said, I'm fully ready to be pleasantly surprised. If I'm wrong, oh crap, I need to do this still. If I'm wrong, I'm going to put it on the record now that I will mock myself in a comic over this. So I still need to mock myself in a comic. I have not gotten to that yet. I forgot I actually did literally put that in writing, that I would mock myself in a comic. Like, I was brainstorming ideas, like, ahead of it just in case I had to, but I'm going to have to, anyway, I have to eat crow on this one. Yeah, we're getting Death Cobra. He combines with the team. He can replace Hellbat, and he also becomes a shoulder cannon. Like, I am still over the moon that they're including Death Cobra in the set. I did not expect this at all. I did not expect it one bit. I am still very excited about this. It looks really good. He's got like the snake breastmaster and everything. The 2 other stretch goals that we have are also unlocked on him too. The second stretch goal was his weapon. He came with nunchaku accessories because that's what Hasbro's calling his giant flail weapon. And it's just a case of it's a bunch of spears that can combine, with a bunch of chains there and form a giant flail that the combiner can use. The individual spears can also become the individual spears that the Lyokaiser team used as individual weapons. Because they all used spears as their weapons because they did a lot of melee combat in Victory, the Breast Force. And then the third stretch goal there is a stand. The stand is for the combined mode, but the stand also can split into 3 parts, and it can become a stand for the vehicle modes. So you can recreate the screenshot from the original Transformers Victory opening there, where all 6 members of the Breast Force are driving towards the screen, are driving and flying towards the screen in their alternate modes. Here's some shots here of the prototypes here. Yeah, we've got it over there. You can see there we have Death Cobra as the arm in the shot here from MegaCon from last month. So you can get an idea of scale of this guy. He's bigger than Deathsaurus. He's a pretty good size. He's going to be around the same size. I don't have the photo in here, but he's going to be around the same size as the Devastator that's coming out this year in combined mode. But yeah, you can see here Hellbat is being used as a shoulder cannon there, and we've got him holding the whole flail. Like, and you can see there that like Leozak's wings can, butterfly there so that you can get a bit more articulation from the arms. Like, it looks really good. And then also, like the original, it does have some combiner kibble. It is a mostly all-in-one combiner. The feet, the hands, and the Liokaiser's head are all integrated into the main combiner body. However, what is not integrated is the waist and thighs. Those are a separate piece, and those can transform into a missile battery that you can then put on the back of Jaruga there. This is the block model here for Jaruga that they have, and this is just them showing that, oh yeah, they're going to make it very obvious, like when they paint this up and everything, that this is meant to be a missile rack. So you can see here that we have this whole missile spam battery there inside the waist. We just got another update for this on Friday as well, and this is probably part of the reason why we don't have painted photos, because they're still making improvements to this toy. They changed the way the shoulders work there on a Skyhawk and Hellbat. Leozak, they added some panels there to better hide the screws in combined mode and the head in alternate mode. On Skyhawk and Hellbat, they also retooled how the Breastmasters work there so that the 5mm peg is hidden there when they're combined onto the chests. There's a few other improvements they did too. Death Cobra is going to be getting thigh swivels. And what's the other one there too? And they've added some wheels to Kill Bison and Drollhorn's tank modes so that they can roll now. So anyway. Yeah, so go back, and this is an old screenshot there. I took the screenshot when I made the slides. When I looked at the beginning of this presentation, it was 21,259 backers. We are currently at 21,389 backers. So we've just gained another 100 plus backers right there, like 130 backers or so. And again, this is going to close tomorrow night. It's going to close tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern is when the ability to back this is going to close. He looks really nice. I am really excited for this toy. Yeah, I've got mine backed. I am really hyped for this guy. I am looking forward to having him on my shelf. It's kind of insane that after this, the only thing we need is like a new Black Shadow and Blue Bacchus. And technically we have the Black Shadow from Combiner War, from Titan's Return. But so I guess we really only need a new Blue Bacchus to have all the Destrons. But it's still insane that we're at this point where we have all this stuff. Like, holy cow. Yeah. It's amazing. But yeah, we don't know where it's going to end. There's probably going to be another bump right at the very end after it closes because they have been gradually dumping international numbers into this as it's gone on. And the Asian market has been buoying a lot of these victory releases. It still remains to be seen if this is going to be more or less successful than than Omega Prime, who currently is the most successful HasLab to date for that Transformers stuff. But yeah, how amazing is it that we've got like not one, not two, but 3 Transformers victory-based HasLabs. We've got a new Dino King. We've got all the Micromasters. We've got a new Galaxy Shuttle. Like just, oh my God, this is just so cool though. Anyway, that is the new end of this presentation there. Because yeah, this was all extended from TFCon. None of the toy stuff was in the TFCon presentation. I did not have time, and yeah, this is run like probably like almost 4 times longer than the TFCon one because I did not have to rush through anything. I've got a few special thankses on the back that I kept on here still. Let's see. Where's that? Why is it not coming up here? It's being weird. Why is it not bringing up the last slide? Okay, that's weird. It's not bringing up the real last slide, but the last slide is supposed to be a special thanks one. I don't know why it's I don't know why it's not bringing it up. It's a PowerPoint bug, I guess. But yeah, so some special thanks here. I sourced a lot of images, a lot of information from TF Wiki for doing this here. Some of it was like my own info, like I did have to watch Transformers Victory to make this presentation there, and I did know a lot about the toys here and there. But yeah, TF Wiki gets a big thanks for compiling a lot of this information, and also a thanks to TFCon for like accepting this panel in the first place and letting me do it. Um, my friend Matt McNally also gets a big thanks too because, well, he is one of the people that was bugging me to watch Victory for years. He's a big fan of Transformers Victory. He's the one I have a bunch of my Rescue Force knowledge from too, as well, incidentally there. Um, yeah, there's really a lot of people to thank. I mean, like, there's the designers at Hasbro for like continuing to do new Victory toys because they're big Japanese G1 nerds and they want to do that stuff. And yeah, thanks to everyone who came in to actually watch this presentation as well. This was a lot of fun to put together, a lot of work to put together, but a lot of fun. I still need to decide what I'm doing this year for my TFCon presentation. Like, I could cram this in theory, if I wanted. I could cram the back half of this into a slideshow and just like power through it, but I probably am going to end up doing something different for TFCon this year. I don't know what, but it will probably be different. But yeah, let's go find someone to raid to. Let's let's see who's all going. Let's see what people are doing for like people in my uh you know what? Let's go. I've not had an opportunity to raid in the Zarin for a while. Zarin Scribbles, good friend, artist friend. He has currently been playing Sonic Unleashed through all of the. Oh, nice. Looks like Kiko's guesting on this stream too. But yeah, he has currently been playing through Sonic Unleashed, and now that there is like the ability to play it on PC, just via like fan mods and stuff there. So we're gonna go raid into him. We're gonna raid into him, and we are gonna be back this week with a whole bunch of stuff. I've got a lot of plans for this week for streaming. Like we've got a new Genshin patch. I haven't made my schedule yet, but we've got a new Genshin patch out this week. So expect a whole bunch of Genshin Impact. I'm probably going to do like a whole like bunch of it because I've got some vacation time this week, and that just by pure coincidence, like Genshin's new patch coincides with when I was going to be taking vacation just for stay at home. So yeah, we're gonna get some good Genshin content. I've got a whole bunch of new toys coming in that I need to go pick up. So yeah, expect a new toy stream as well. So I've got at least a couple of things there. It should be really good. Yeah, like all the new Age of the Prime stuff is starting to hit up here. So like I've got a Megatronus I need to pick up there, a G2 Grimlock I need to pick up. I've got a few things in my backlog, but yeah, we're gonna be starting to do some toy streams again there after a couple of weeks without me. So yeah, thank you all for coming by tonight there. I hope all of you have yourselves a fantastic evening. Have a fantastic evening, everyone, and have a good one. This is Techno signing off.